Okay, everyone, we're about to get started. If we can find our seats, silence our cell phones as I'm doing. We're about to get started for the caucus. Okay, good evening, everyone. We are on the record. Today is Tuesday, the 10th day of February in the year 2026. This is a City Council caucus meeting of the Jersey City Municipal Council. We had a scheduled 4 p.m. start. The clock on my cell phone is showing 4:03 p.m. May we have a roll call for the commencement of this caucus? Councilperson Brooks.
Here.
Councilperson Zupa.
Here.
Councilperson Efros.
Here.
Councilperson Little. She just waved him. Councilperson Gilmore. Councilperson Singh. That's okay. Councilperson Griffin.
Aye.
Councilperson Lavaro. And Council President Ridley. We have all 9 council members in attendance at 4:03 p.m. On behalf of Council President Ridley and the members of the Municipal Council, in accordance with New Jersey Public Laws of 1975, Chapter 231, the Open Public Meetings Act, also known as the Sunshine Law, adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by the posting on the bulletin board of the first floor of City Hall, the annual notice, which is the schedule of meetings and caucuses of the Municipal Council for the calendar year 2026, and filed in the office of the City Clerk on Tuesday, November 25th, 2025. In addition, at its time of its preparation, the agenda of this meeting was similarly disseminated on Friday, February 6, 2026, at 7:05 p.m. to the Mayor, Municipal Council, Business Administrator, Corporation Council, local newspapers, and posted on the city's website, so I can certify as to our total compliance with the Sunshine Law. And if you haven't known by now, our scheduled caucus was for yesterday, but we did have a pipe that burst in City Hall, so we did not have any water in City Hall, and we can't operate a public meeting without having water functioning. So hence the reason why we did a verbiage up on the website. We posted all over City Hall that the meeting was canceled, postponed till today. So again, we meet the Sunshine Law. With that being said, I'm going to turn it over to our council president.
Okay, good evening, everyone. We'll jump right in. And we'll start with planning, Cameron Black.
Hello, good evening, Council.
Good evening.
Well, thank you for your service. There's a lot of new faces up here. Congratulations to everyone. So I'm with the planning city staff, and we just are here to give brief comments on the bird-friendly design ordinance, which is back before you. So just a brief history. This went to the planning board, was approved by resolution October 7th of last year, and it was recommended up to City Council. The planning board recommendation got rid of language in the applicability 1A, where these standards would apply. They removed the site plan approval threshold. So planning staff wanted to keep the site plan threshold in that language, which would capture roughly 60 to 70 applications per year. And the planning board got rid of that site plan threshold to make it apply to all development in the city. So the reasoning planning staff wanted to have that threshold was we wanted it to apply to our taller buildings and to keep it within planning staff so we could review it and vet it more closely. So now that the ordinance is back before you, you have the freedom to amend it and change that threshold again to the site plan threshold. So other than that, I think it's worth noting that there was a lot of talk of how this change to our zoning ordinance and our design would be a costly burden on development. I just want to say on the record, as a professional planner, that is false. The brick, which is what the bird-friendly designs call for mostly, is cheaper, greener, and honestly, it is aesthetically part of the character and identity of our city and neighboring cities in this region. So glass, it is more costly by $100 per square foot, and it aesthetically is not what we have as far as the character of our city goes. So I just wanted to dispel that myth, and I can field any questions if you have any.
Any
Yeah.
questions?
Council members, this is item 3.3 on your agenda.
So Cameron, as it relates to this affecting all new dwellings, what's the rationale for one and two families being included in this?
So that was part of the planning board's recommendation back in October, the original resolution sent up here. And the planning board determined that they wanted it to apply to everything. They felt that the site plan threshold that the planning staff suggested went, it didn't go far enough. You know, planning staff still stands by our original recommendation. We felt the site plan threshold was substantial and could effectively ameliorate a lot of the issues we have relating to bird deaths. So we stand by that.
So have there been instances where there's been bird strikes at one and two family homes?
The short answer is yes, but it's an issue that to enforce it across the entire city, it would be easier to roll out if we had this threshold of the site plan
Okay.
being the threshold.
And in your professional opinion, from a financial standpoint, it's actually cheaper to design because the glass that they're using costs more than the brick
That is
they will
correct.
be
yes.
using for the actual design.
Yes.
I'm shocked. I actually didn't know. I know they had built like these new condos next to my house, and we started seeing dead birds, and I was really perplexed as to why. So that's why I asked that. I've never visually seen them fly in, but I've seen them dead on the ground. So
Glass has a higher resale value and it tends to attract a luxury market. So
oh,
That was going to be my question. There's a fair amount of data that has been shared with me leading up to this, suggesting the kind of exorbitant cost this would put on developers, with a concern that the cost would be passed down to whether it's condo owners or renters. So are you suggesting, just to be clear, that well, one, that data is misleading, but two, that there's like a economic incentive in kind of peddling non-bird friendly glass, and that has some kind of luxury attraction to it?
yes, that's right. The implications, I think, where they misconstrued what the ordinance is attempting to fix is they were insinuating a retrofitting all of these buildings with, like, you know, the most expensive like UV glass fit out. So it's not an accurate way of assessing the cost of the situation.
Thank you so much for this additional information. So to recap, it sounds like it's more expensive for them to build with glass than it is for them to build with brick, but they have a higher, they can make more money if they build with glass, so they recoup that investment. So that's why they prefer to build with glass.
Correct.
Okay, thanks for clarifying. I wanted to ask, so I've met with the advocates on both sides of this issue, and you know, it sounds like your preference, if we were to make a change, would be to revert back to only projects that require site plan approval. Both groups actually on both sides of the issue seem to prefer, based on my most recent conversations with them, keeping it applying to all buildings, but reducing the height. Now, of course, you know, like if we were to make a change, right? And of course, the bird advocates would like to keep that height pretty high still. You know, I will note Newark's is 100, but it's loosely enforced. So ours is stronger. New York City's is 75, and so there was some discussion of maybe between 75 and 100. And I just wanted to understand better from the planning department's perspective. Your preference would be to have it only apply to projects requiring site plan approval and keep it at 100 because that would be easier to enforce based on staffing levels than having it apply to all projects. Is that accurate?
Yes, logistically, just the vetting process through the planning department's more stringent, and we would have the skilled staff to look for those specific design standards. The not all the application processes would need to go to the extent that of detail that you need to go to with site plan. So it's just an easier threshold to review for city staff. If council, you know, thinks that 75 feet is more reasonable using New York standards, then I can't argue with that. You know, New York has more skyscrapers than us. But we did find through our research that 100 feet was suggested by the American Bird Conservancy.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much. I also wanted to raise the possibility, it sounds like if it applies to every single project, that might be administratively too much of a burden on planning. Could there be some intermediate threshold? Because I believe site plan approval is 10,000 square feet, right? And above.
Correct.
And could we set some intermediate threshold, you know, to capture some of, you know, the smaller buildings that, you know, may still be a major cause of bird crashes. But, you know, for example, if someone wants to put an ADU in their backyard, they shouldn't be subject to it. So do you think there could be some intermediate threshold that would both be achievable given your department's staffing levels and like reasonable?
Honestly, the site plan threshold would be the easiest. If it goes to zoning for all applications, it's possible. It's very possible.
So council, since this is the first reading, if we have any suggestions or other suggestions for thresholds that we want planning to examine, can we send those over to them so we can kind of dig into it and give you a more firm answer between now and second reading?
Yeah, that's fine. I do have one question though. How does this affect, if at all, redevelopment plans in Jersey City?
It wouldn't. The design standards in our city ordinance apply to all projects.
Thank you.
Just two questions or concerns. I think you kind of addressed the first one, which was adding additional costs to new projects, which theoretically could limit the number of affordable units we get. But in your estimation, that's not something that's likely, correct?
And to dispel the myth of this being more costly, the scenarios that were used were like wild. Fitting out buildings, replacing glass with UV, like with these decals on it. It's not how you would see this ordinance affect So, correct, this would not be a cost burden.
All right, and then the second issue was, I think we're all, well, at least I am, more cognizant of potential additional burdens on homeowners wanting to renovate their home, right? 1 to 2 family homeowners. What, if any, onus is this put on homeowners if they're trying to, for example, if they want to change something about their home, do they then have to, if they're putting an application in with zoning to change something about their house, do they then have to amend their home to include the bird-friendly designs?
Well, the threshold that city planning recommended, it would not capture those, but the American Bird Conservancy's designs that they recommend, you know, something as simple as blinds on the windows would be sufficient for birds to render that as a space that they can't fly through.
Also a window screen, right? Would
Yeah, actually, insect screens are like the #1 most recommended.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Yes. I'm going to get more basic because I'm just catching up here. So just so I understand, this ordinance was adopted by the city council in 2025. It was vetoed by the mayor. And is this the exact same ordinance coming back before us?
This is the exact same ordinance.
Then if I may ask the city clerk, from that prior meeting, if I could get transcripts of, and not the video, I just want to read the transcripts of the statements that people made so I can see what the history is here. And if there's something in the planning board, this came before the planning board as well, and there were public comments, I assume, there as well.
Correct.
I can get the transcripts on that too, so I can just kind of get up to speed on.
You'll have it by end of business today.
Sean, and as usual, can you just circulate that to the entire council so everyone?
Of course.
Thank you.
Sorry, just want to say 2 things. So to Rolando's point, there were 2 big concerns. People were saying that we might lose affordable units in these buildings if we go ahead with that. And the other one was, my understanding it, the cost will increase by 0.05%. Is that true?
So when people bring up the cost factor, you can't. They're working in hypotheticals that I'm not sure what cost they're adding to what materials. All I can say is that the cheapest and best bird-friendly building is something built with insect screens, blinds, brick, board-on-board wood, which is construction materials that have traditionally, historically, been indicative of the character of our city and have been the most cost-effective and environmentally friendly for heating and cooling, etc. The cost for glass facades, reflective materials is $100 per square feet on average more expensive. The bird-friendly design standards would make construction and buildings more affordable, and it would not result in a loss of affordable units in the city.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you, Director.
Thank
I
you.
just ask, is there any sort of, all this cost analysis? Did planning do a cost analysis of one building with bird-friendly design and one building with normal?
When this was first introduced, those numbers and figures were given. I can't off the top of my head say, but
Can you just provide us copies of whatever those analyses?
okay, yeah, the presentation that was given out originally had scenarios, materials, and visuals with those prices.
Are these the exact same materials that came with the first time this came around?
Yes.
You said there was a presentation, because we don't have a presentation in here.
That was when it was brought before you back in 2025.
Was a presentation to the council?
Sophia Pereira originally presented the bird-friendly ordinance to.
Say again?
Sophia Pereira gave a presentation when she was here back in 2025.
Can you recirculate that to the council?
Yeah, certainly.
All right. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I have a question for Corporation Council on the bird-friendly ordinance. I don't know why I had this in my head, and maybe it's wrong, but I had heard somewhere that we could not vote on the exact same ordinance that the last administration had vetoed. Is that accurate?
I don't have any reason to think that that's the case. I have not heard of such a rule, but we can confirm that and get back to you.
Okay, so much.
I can speak to that a little bit. There was when there was Councilman Steve Fulop, and he kept putting back ordinances before the city council. After they failed, he kept bringing them back, and then the council passed a ordinance to require like a, I don't know, 6 month or something period before reintroducing an ordinance unless it was a changed ordinance in some way. I think when Councilman Fulop became Mayor Fulop, he then rescinded that ordinance or had it.
We'll wait on the official word from the law department because this was vetoed, so
Right.
it could be a little different.
It definitely would be, because those are items that were defeated that Councilman Fulop was trying to always put back on. This was something that was actually approved by the municipal council and vetoed by the mayor. As far as I know, I mean, I'm not the attorney, but I've been the clerk for 6 years and deputy for 18 and been with the city for 33. I don't think there's any rule that I can remember or recall that would prevent the municipality from putting back an ordinance to another council.
Thank you. Yeah, my perception was that we would have to make a tweak in order for it to be kosher, but maybe that's not the case. So thank you.
Got it.
All right. Brian Weller.
Hi, good afternoon, Council. I'm the Director of Architecture, Brian Weller, and I have one item for your consideration tonight. Agenda item 10.18, Resolution 2660. This is a resolution authorizing award of contract to Adamo Brothers Construction for improvements to Monticello Court. Public bids were received December 2nd, 2025 at the Division of Purchasing. After review of the documents, we recommend award to the lowest bidder, Adamo Brothers Construction, for $495,138. And it's funded by Capital Parks.
Questions?
Where specifically on Monticello?
At the intersection of Storms and Monticello.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Lord Jesus. Good Lord. This has been.
I've heard similar, yes.
Yes, this has been, I was working in recreation when they first brought this proposal up. So I'm thankful to see this on there. That's Storms and Monticello, the basketball court.
So the project 99 Storms Avenue that was built across the street, from my understanding, they had committed to rehab that park. Are they involved with this?
Not that I'm aware of. We would have to check with probably planning on that.
Okay.
With this new proposal, are we putting the basketball courts into the traditional formation versus the L shape?
I can circulate the plan layout, but the site's not big enough for a legal size, so it is undersized to provide the recreational needs for children.
Okay, and will it be interchangeable?
No, it will not.
Okay.
Does the contract come with an estimated timeline of the
Yeah, it will be within 6 to 8 months.
8 months?
The contractor's ready to go right now.
Okay.
just waiting on the weather.
My question is not about the project itself. I think it's certainly something that should take place. But was there any consideration given to Adama Brothers not being a qualified bidder? And what I'm basing that on is several wage violations filed with the state of New Jersey, the Department of Labor, as recent as January 6th of this year, failure to pay wages to their workers, not paying prevailing wage. In 2025, they provided false information to the state. In 2024, they had non-payment of wages claim made against them by several claimants. We don't have enough union labor working for our city. That's something that's come up before, certainly with all our development projects. And I would ask the law department if Adama Brothers counts as a qualified bidder, or if anyone investigated these wage violations.
Yeah, my office is not aware of those stipulations and considerations.
Can we ask the administration to look into those claims presented by Councilman Zupa? And can we also find out if those claims are true, does that put us in a position to hold them back from this particular contract?
Yes, I'll look into it for you.
And if I can ask, is there in general a rubric that we have in terms of contracts to make sure that when we put out a bid for contracts, we are looking for things like wage violation claims? Other labor employment?
I don't believe it's specific to wage violation claims, but there is a set rubric for all RFP processes that goes to cost, ability to deliver the services, the previous, I guess, work in the area or experience in the area, all those type of indications. So I don't think it'd be directly one of the criteria, but it'd probably fall under one of the criteria.
Right. Anything around labor, employment relations, anything around union status?
I don't think it's a specific bullet point, but it would fall probably under the general, ability to actually accomplish procedure or experience in the field.
Would the administration share that with us?
Yes, but depending, I can share the rubric for this project. Every RFP has different kind of criteria and rubrics to it. So it's not like a standard, everyone does this thing. There are standard materials like diversity, things like that always gets considered in it. Cost is always considered in it. But depending what department or what, project it might be involved, there might be slightly different criteria for each department. But I can share this one for you, of course.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, that seems like not having wage violations, something that should be inclusive.
Excuse me, I would just like to add that this contractor has done a lot of good work for the city, and to the best of my knowledge, working with EEO, they do double check all the payment applications. As far as I know, working for city, I don't know about the contractor outside of the city, but I'm just going to say that they're a good contractor and they do good work.
They did the work at Leonard Gordon Park, Mosquito Park. I think there's some issues. If you're a union labor, I think you have issues with the work done there, but that's out of my purview. And I think the city should look into hiring prevailing wage contractors.
Question for Council President and/or Sean. Could we motion to could we table this tomorrow pending?
So Brian, is this time sensitive? And then I think we should also, I don't know how quickly the BA and the law department could get us this answer, but should be fairly quick. What is our, I guess, rights in regards to not using the contractor based off of those claims? So one is, well, for you right now, is it time sensitive, and BA and law department can get back to us on whether or not we can hold that against them for this.
It's not necessarily time sensitive. It's a relatively small project, and we're right now hamstrung by the weather anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's see if we can get the answer by tomorrow, and if not, then we'll take it from there. Thank you.
Thank you.
So
Director Banghart.
If I can just ask, so you're going to look into the council president's inquiry about whether it's disqualifying?
Yes.
Okay, just want to make sure.
Director.
Good evening, Council President, Council members. Drew Banghart, I'm the Acting Director of the Department of Infrastructure. Tonight, on behalf of Traffic Engineering, I have a second reading ordinance for disabled parking, reserved parking. Presented at last caucus. This will be 6 spaces designated in the city. If you have any questions.
That's item 4.2.
4.2. Any questions?
Yeah, hey, Drew, I do have a question, just about the process, handicap, placards, or handicap parking in a nutshell. I've seen instances where people were almost on a deathbed and not be able to get handicap placards. And then subsequently, I've seen neighbors who look more than more than able get them. So I'm just trying to figure out, as it relates to the practice of issuing these reserved parking for individuals. Like, how does that process look?
I can explain it. The intake of the applications comes through our office through traffic engineering. We have a consultant doctor who reviews those applications for, warrant of being able-bodied or not, and gives that recommendation back to the city. And ultimately, there's a committee set up that has the final say on if a space is approved or not approved, or moves forward to be presented to council.
How many people in that committee?
There's usually 2 sitting council members are part of that committee, and the traffic engineering office.
The traffic.
The committee is not, there's no standing committee at the moment, though. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Do we have an estimated time of how long it's going to take to get one back together?
It's a mural.
Yeah, I've been, speaking to the administration to get that committee set up. So if it's something any of you would be interested in, I'm sure reaching out to the BA's office.
Sure.
That would be great to get that reestablished.
All right.
We still have our in-house.
Yes, I'm gonna volunteer. I only need one more person.
Yeah, we have our in-house, professionals and staff they're ready to work on it. We do have the doctor still on contract, which we'll have to renew later this year, but we're kind of ready to go.
And I guess my final question, Drew, is there any consideration taken if, like, there's, I guess, other handicap spaces in the vicinity?
Yeah, so the preference is to have them right in front of the residents, of course. If there's other spaces that have already been approved, we may have to shift them around the corner if it's on the corner, or across the street, which isn't, optimal. But yeah, it is taken into consideration to not take up a whole stretch of parking for everyone else. We try to lay it out in a reasonable manner.
All right.
And if there's, if they have a driveway with off-street parking, that factors into it as well. A couple different layers.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Are there,
Just speaking. Oh, sorry.
Oh, 1 second.
Oh. Was it?
Go ahead, Rolando.
are we, is, traffic looking at do people have to renew their handicap parking as an annual thing? How frequent is that now?
It's a biannual, so every 2 years, our office reaches out to each of the permit holders, depending on their anniversary date, to reestablish that it's still a viable space, and if not, we work with DPW to get those signs removed. We work with the clerk's office, for kind of on a monthly basis for the obituaries to see if there's anything else that needs to be researched.
Councilwoman Little.
Just broadly speaking, and this ordinance is maybe not the place to do it, but like broadly speaking, as we're talking about forming this committee, I just would like to suggest that maybe there is a faster way to get people permits need, going back to Councilman Gilmore's point about people being nearly on death's door and not able to get a permit, or people with a, looming surgery date that they need the spot for after their surgery. I would love for us to be able to look into whether this could be expedited and whether we could streamline it and make it not take as long for folks.
Of course, yeah, we're open to, any suggestions. I think the ordinance process is, required by law to set up those spaces. So it is a 2-meeting operation.
Turn your mic on, Mamta.
Always struggling with this. How many applications annually you receive?
Annually, I'd say 500 is a good number to throw out there. I'd say on a monthly basis, it's easily 20 to 30 a month.
Okay, so that is possible to, it's not insane number in a huge city like Jersey City.
No, but the process and going, having the doctor review them, it does take time.
Okay, thank you.
You said it was required by law that it be an ordinance and that it go through 2 council meetings. Is that state law or is that Jersey City municipal code?
I'm not the traffic expert, but I believe that is state law. Anything that affects the right of way like that does need to go to ordinance.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Danny?
Good afternoon, Council President, council members. I'm Danny Bagenot with the Department of Finance. For your consideration this afternoon, I have 2 items. The first item is resolution number 26-043, agenda number 10.1. Title of the resolution is a resolution authorizing calendar year 2025 appropriation reserve transfers for various departments pursuant to NJSA 48:4-59. Cities and municipalities are permitted to process budget transfers during the first 2 months of the fiscal year and the first 3 months of the succeeding year. Kindly note, these transfers are from 2025 balances. These transfers are necessary to satisfy, contractual obligations incurred through December 31st, 2025. Any questions?
Yes. You got it?
I have a question. Hi there. Thank you. In the attachment, there are codes corresponding to different expenses. What is the difference between SW and OE?
Very good question. S&W is salary and wages, and OE is other expenses.
Okay, and I think you said this, but just to confirm, this resolution would authorize the release of unexpended but budgeted 2025 fiscal year funds?
Right, so majority of this transfer is strictly for salary and wages, and this is due to retirements, resignations of city employees, and where those positions have not been backfilled.
So this would not, we're spending 2025 reserves, I guess, lack of a better term, this is not part of the 2026 budget.
That is correct. It has nothing to do with the 2026 budget.
We like to hear that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
So the operating expenses, the health benefits line, 2,172,600. This the mayor has talked about the budget deficit that we have and the health insurance costs that were not budgeted for. Is this part of that portion?
No, this is just for 2025 obligations. So what happens is that we also do close to $9 million in rebates. So whatever we spent on the health benefits portion, this will offset some of those expenses.
It's offsetting what expenses? I'm not following.
For the health benefits.
Yeah, So,
Councilman, if I can, real quick.
yeah,
To your question, yes, these are 2025 health benefit expenses
Yeah.
that they're offsetting through unexpended funds from 2025.
Right.
So they're reallocating where the money was originally to pay any bills that were outstanding from 2025.
and my question is, I get that. My question is that $2,172,600 of, that's being paid for, is that as a result, as we've heard through the mayor's announcements about this budget problem that we have, budget challenge, crisis, is that part of, as it was talked about, the idea that health benefits were under budgeted, and that and could have been foreseen, right? That is this part of that challenge and that problem? That's what I'm trying to get to. Is this us cleaning that up?
Well, it's to clean some of it up. So it's part of that initial, what you just mentioned.
I think Bill's gonna jump in here.
Good afternoon, Councilman. The short answer to your question is yes, it falls into the category of under budget health expenses.
For the mic.
Hear me okay? So I'll repeat what I just said. The short answer to your question is yes, this falls into the category of health benefits that should have been budgeted more effectively in 2025. Yes.
Understood. So the money coming from salaries and wages that are covering all this, were you suggesting that these are unexpended funds?
Correct. Correct.
I have a question on the line items. Now, one that jumps out to me is Jackson Hill and the NPP funds. Now, I'm just a little confused because you're saying salary and wages. So is that for salary and wages, or is that for the program itself, the neighborhood preservation program? The line item $425,000.
Councilman, I think you're referring to the other item.
Okay.
Yeah, whatever you're referring to, that's strictly grants. This is just for salary and wages and OE.
Gotcha.
So then the other two large items, electricity and street lighting, 884,000. Again, my question there is, I mean, that's electricity in our buildings, is that right?
Yeah, that's correct. So the first one, the 884,000, they're requesting, this is for electricity and gas for the 50+ owned city buildings, a facility that the city owns. And one of the reasons why we're requesting that amount is because there was a 17% hike within PSE&G in July of last year. I do have John Lynch here. If you have any questions regarding that, because John monitors these contracts with PSE&G.
The explanation for the 884,000 additional need for additional monies is because there was a rate increase. Is that
correct?
Same thing with the street lighting?
Same thing with street lighting and also with the opening of the new public safety building. That's one of the areas why we need the additional funding to pay these invoices.
When did the rate increases take effect?
I believe July of 2025. June 1st? Okay, June 1st.
Is there a breakdown of the buildings as far as their addresses and how much we're paying per property?
I believe we do have that information, right, John? Okay, we can request that for PSE&G.
We don't pay for individual light bulbs. We pay per premises.
I'm sorry, say that we pay what?
Not calculate a little residential home where you pay for exact usage. They calculate based on the entire premises.
Can I just ask a process question? Under more normal circumstances, when we didn't have a massive, potentially $250 million hole that we need to fill, would money not expended in a certain department's budget normally get reappropriated to the same department for the coming fiscal year?
That is correct.
Okay, and so these departments should not be expecting these reserves in the 2026 budget
That is
coming in because we need to fill
That's right.
too many.
Saying unexpended funds in 25 would carry over to 26 normally? I don't think that's true.
No, what I'm
not.
saying is that these funds that have the balances in 2025, we're requesting it through the transfer process right now, all right, with authority of the city council, so that we can pay these obligations until December 31st.
I think correct me if I'm wrong, Councilman, you were asking if monies would roll over from 25 to 26 if it was unexpended. That doesn't happen.
I think what Danny might be referring to is that the money that's in the budget stays in the budget, meaning that if $100,000 budget for, let's say, building and streets in 2026, that $100,000 would then be in the budget for not the money from last year, but that budget item stays there. So the money doesn't go away permanently. It gets deferred back to the individual departments in the 2026 budget.
I'm sorry, I've got to correct inaccuracies there. It's there because the mayor introduces it as the dollar amount. You could literally start from zero and figure out if you wanted 100,000 or 75,000 and put whatever you want to put in, and then the council can amend all of that, right? So my understanding is that unexpended, and correct me if I'm wrong, because it's been 4 years since I've done this, but those unexpended dollars would go into some sort of reserve that would be available 2 years from now or something like that. Like, I forget exactly how that all works, but so.
Yes, we're
losing our reserves because of, and I'm glad we're talking about this because this is the impact of the budgeting crisis that we're in, which is that the reserves that we would be able to carry over into future years, 2 years or 3 years down the road, I forget, is not going to be available. This money will not be available, and people in past administrations have had that money and be able to set up that kind of rainy day fund, so to speak, right? And we won't have that available for Jersey City. We're going to have to live without that emergency fund.
Yes, so it depends what the council was referring to. I interpreted what his question was if there's a position for, let's say, a laborer for $45,000 in building and streets, and that money was unsuspended because they weren't hired, they retired, whatever else, that allocation would get put back in the budget for next year, barring the council's approval or, the administration, whatever else. So we're not getting rid of positions that would potentially be located in these departments unless, through the budget process or the council approval, we decide to eliminate those. So yes, the money is not automatically put back in those departments, as Councilman LaVaro said, but those positions remain in the budget until the council or the administration decides to eliminate them for the 2026 year.
Okay, thank you for clarifying. Thanks, Councilman LaVaro as well. Thanks.
Councilman Zupa.
Sorry, one question. If this is not appropriate to be directed towards you, please tell me. The community who had been promised, I don't want to get into specific projects necessarily, but there's the park in Journal Square. The community was told we have a set aside of X amount of dollars for when we take possession of the county courthouse. Is it fair to say that money is safely there, or was it spent, or was that? What's the status of the city's promise to set aside that money?
You talking about the capital funding for the courthouse park?
Courthouse park, yeah.
I'd have to get the exact list for you. I don't have it offhand, but I believe there was a reserve or a amount specifically dedicated to that park. I'll have finance confirm that.
Okay, thank you, Peter.
Thanks.
I have one more question. It's there's a line transferring city clerk salary wages of 40,000. Is that just city clerk or is that city clerk and city council?
City clerk.
Is that
city clerk?
Okay, we're not.
That's just for the city clerk's office.
What's that?
That amount, the 40,000, is not from the municipal council. It's from the city clerk's office.
Okay.
Any other questions on 10.1? Okay, next one.
Next one is resolution number 26-044, agenda number 10.2. It's a resolution authorizing an emergency temporary appropriation. The purpose of this resolution is to establish 11 new grants. This action is necessary to make the grants fund available so that the city may begin incurring current expenses, processing payments, and continuing services during the temporary budget period. This is permitted under NJSA 48:4-20.
Questions?
Yes, on page 5, UEZ, what does funds to support staff mean? Is that actual staff or is that ancillary funding?
I'm gonna call up our grants director, Vivian, to answer that question, if you don't mind.
Good afternoon, Council. So the UEZ funds are passed through to Jersey City Economic and EDC. So it's to support their budget for their actual staff.
Thank you. And then I'm not sure what page it's on, but the funds for the electric charging stations, do we have locations for those yet? Or is that a infrastructure planning? Okay, so this is to get the funds and then we'll talk to infrastructure and planning as to the actual locations.
Well, actually, they presented the application with the scope of work, and this is just to set up the money so that they can expend it. But we can get information from them in regards to what the locations are.
Thank you. And then lastly, the Edward Byrne program, that's federal money that's unspent from 2022.
So that's police money that the grant is totally expended. What normally happens with it, it's a reimbursable grant so that the police department will use it for overtime. And now we are just reimbursing the overtime to the police department.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I Googled this and it's the Trump administration. So what are you going to do? But there's like the pages are dead on this program. So this is.
We can get you a list of who received that overtime if you like.
Well, just to understand that the funding is, who is reimbursing who, I guess, for the layperson.
Right, so it's the federal government reimbursing our officers through our regular payroll. So those officers were allowed it to work overtime and we're reimbursing the city's current fund for the overtime that was spent.
Thank you.
So the cost has already been incurred.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
No, thank you.
Thank you.
Officer Cohen?
Good afternoon, Council President, members of City Council. I'm Ofer Cohen, Division Director of Food and Nutrition at HHS. And tonight we have one item for your consideration. Resolution 26053, agenda number 1011. This is a resolution authorizing the cancellation of the unexpected budget appropriation balances of the Department of Health and Human Services of the City of Jersey City, authorizing the closure adjustment of grant accounts for the summer food service program. Let me just give you some context as to the summer food service program. This program runs in July and August of every year, feeds about more than 3,000 school children and peaks at about 58 sites throughout the city. The first portion of this resolution is essentially canceling out the two accounts that have been fully reimbursed in the amounts of $306,191.07 and $101,520.35. This grant also runs from October 1st to September 30th. So before we can accept an award that I'm going to be in front of you probably in about a month, we have to close out the 24-25 portion of it. So that's the first part. Then we also received an additional award that we can carry over towards this period, which will expire in September. The program's July and August, and that total amount of carryover is $41,327.67.
Questions?
Yep. So in the fourth whereas, it talks about we received $195,039.80, and that The amount was reduced by the state.
By the Department of Agriculture, yes. So the program, there's no additional cost or anywhere that we could spend. It's a very fluid program. The initial award that we got last year of 306,000 is going to be modified as we receive more funds. So then they'll do a review at the end and deem what we can carry over. All the food costs were covered, all the reimbursements were covered for these amounts.
What I'm trying to understand is it says it's reduced by, so they cut our funding? Is that how
They
everything?
didn't it's going to change. So last year we carried over a larger amount coming in. This year at the back end, they basically do an estimate off the initial number of sites that we get. So whoever's signed up in March, that's what that 306,000 is going to be. Then they may increase it based on estimates as we peak at 58 sites, but then they'll do a final look, and essentially the program is fully paid for. It's fully reimbursed. So we're not losing anything. We can't use it for other costs. This program is probably 90% food costs. So that portion of it is covered. We have 3 part-time staff, seasonals that work, and it covers an allowable portion of our program manager's salary. And that's the complete program.
And then it's, the 41,000 is money still to be spent.
That is money that is going to be carried over for this next period that we're going to use for food costs.
There'll be more added on top of that, or is that?
Yeah, we're going to get that. And then, as I said, in March, I'm going to be back in front of you, and likely in March, we'll get an award, which will probably be, if we're consistent with previous years, somewhere around $306,000. And then that'll be based on who's signed up in March. But as the program peaks, if it's 58, if it's 63 sites, they'll provide an additional award, and then that will probably be modified again to make the program complete, basically, based on what we spent, what was reimbursed.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Director Richardson?
Good evening, Council. I have one item before you. This is 10.14, Resolution 26, 0-56. The resolution authorizing the cancellation of grant receivable balances and/or grant reserve. Just to give you some context to this, November 18, 2025, the City of Jersey City received a $1.3 million grant, and this was for lead remediation and abatement. Originally, the grant was 1.3, and then they increased it to 2 million. Recently, they decreased it from 2 million to 1.5 million. The grant funds were decreased basically due because of the lack of the participation. We have not gotten the number of applications that we would like to receive, and out of the applications that we have received, we've been having an issue trying to get people qualified. During this time, we've been working back and forth with the DCA. So we meet with them twice a month. They've been working with us trying to get more people to participate in the grant fund. But unfortunately, because this grant runs out in December of this year, it does not appear that we will be able to fulfill the grant when it comes to the 2 million. So that's why they're dropping it down to 1.5 million.
What exactly is the grant? Is this that?
It's a state grant to help homeowners with lead remediation and abatement.
Oh, okay. What has the outreach looked like for the potential individuals who would be eligible?
So we've done an email blast, we've done posters, flyers, we've conducted outreach events. We've also partnered with other organizations that are doing this type of work. The DCA has actually partnered us up with other people. Recently, we have a meeting this week because we're trying to get this involved with the Board of Education. I found out that there's another program that's been used through the Board of Education to try to get this information out to parents. So we have a meeting with them so we can piggyback off of that. Because my department also does the lead inspections, every place that we do a lead inspection, we also inform them about this program as well.
I think seeing that this program would be for homeowners, I think we will get a cost-effective advertising by sending this out with the quarterly tax bills.
Yeah.
That way we're not overburdened more by paying for postage and stuff like that. Because anytime I see money that people can use, we just have to just kind of go all out trying to advertise it. I know it's hard, sometimes to really reach the masses. But I think with this right here, we can use the quarterly tax bills to, because if you send them a quarterly tax bill, they own the property. They own the property. They need to remedy maybe the lead paint thing. So that's a suggestion I would have.
No, I'll put that down. And another thing, even speaking with the DCA, that unfortunately in the climate that we're in, you have a lot of people that just don't trust government because they're concerned about ICE. And so we've gone and done inspections where people have been hiding in the closets. So when you tell them you're going to come back, they're just very, very skeptical. So a lot of this is really convincing them that your immigration status is not going to be touched at all. We're just trying to help all that we can.
Okay, so thank you. I just had, sorry, did you have other questions or no? Okay. I just wanted to make sure I understood correctly. You said this was originally for 2 million?
So it was originally 1.3 million because at that time, the grant was limited to 1 to 4 units, but then the DCA increased it up to 10 units. So at that time, they increased the funds to up to 2 million. So it started at 1.3, it went to 2 million, but now they cut it back down to 1.5 million, and that's basically because of lack of participation.
And you said we have until the end of
December, correct.
December. So my question is, why are we preemptively bringing it down to?
We didn't make this decision. This came from the state. So we didn't ask them to cut the funds. If that was your question, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to.
Yeah, so the state is cutting our funds no matter what, it sounds like. So what happens if we don't pass this resolution and we say, no, we want to keep the whole?
We haven't gotten that far, so I would not know. I wouldn't be able to tell you that up front. I would have to talk to the state and they would have to answer that.
Because I really liked Councilman Gilmore's suggestion of sending this out with the tax bills so that homeowners, so that we could possibly get a higher rate of participation if that money is still available.
Absolutely. And then of course there's a median income, so they have to still qualify. So
Right.
There's still a median, so all of those things factor in. But I wrote down his suggestion and I'm all for it.
So if we see an uptick in participation after the next quarterly tax bills go out, will the state, I mean, is this decision from the state final? And if we don't pass this resolution, would we still, in theory, on paper, have the full 2 million from the state?
That I would have to reach out to the state to get that answer for you.
Okay, would you be able to either get us that information by email tomorrow, or else maybe we could table this till next meeting? Is this?
Absolutely. I will reach out to them first thing tomorrow to get that final answer for you. Absolutely.
Because I would love to be able to assist more homeowners and be able to utilize the full 2 million from the state.
I agree.
All right, thank you so much.
You're so welcome.
Director, I have a question. If we pass this and we go down to 1.5 mil, and we show the state that we can spend the 2 million, would that number go back up, or is
it could go back up because they will reevaluate this. This has been a yearly thing. So again, right, if it does go down and we can prove that, but again, we have to use it all.
Right.
If we can prove that we can do it, then moving forward, we would apply again, and I'm sure that they would increase it. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Do we have a sense of the extent of the problem that needs to be mediated, like how widespread lead mediation?
I mean, of course, I couldn't give you the final numbers, but lead paint, and this especially is targeted to children under 6. So in our inspections, we haven't come across what you would call a large number of people who are dealing with lead poisoning. But again, that's per inspection. So because we haven't inspected every property, I couldn't tell you definitively how many units are actually being affected by this, because this is so reliant upon the inspections or just people knowing that they have lead issues. Like recently, somebody reached out to us and they just found out that their child tested positive for lead poisoning. So at that point, they reached out to us. But again, if that had never happened, there was nothing to say that they would reach out to us. So this is driven by constituents more. We can put the information out there, but because they have to be the ones to apply for it, we're pretty much dependent upon them.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I think just data on lead poisoning rates among children in Jersey City could also be a helpful.
Absolutely, and I can get that checked.
Thank you. Yeah, and for homeowners as well to understand the extent of the.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we're doing, so if you'll see within the next week, we've actually done some education seminars, but we're up in that to at least twice a month. And the good thing about the educational seminar is that if people can't make it in person, they can be able to go with, because we're going to record it and it's going to stay on our website, because we're just really trying to do all we can to get the word out there, and then work with people who may not be able to make it in person, but still be able to watch it at home at their leisure.
I ask some more basic questions. Is this was the grant a competitive grant or formula funding?
Say that second part.
Was it a competitive grant or formula funding?
A competitive.
So when did we apply and win this grant? What was the start date, effective start date for this grant?
The effective start date, this is 2025.
January?
January, yes, 2025.
We had 1 year to expend $2 million.
So we had 2 years. So no, 20, I'm sorry, 20, it was the September of 2024 going into December 2026. So roughly about almost 2 years.
Almost what?
Almost 2 years, about 1 year and 8 months.
Okay. So we had 1 year and 8 months to expend $2 million.
Correct.
And our application was a competitive application.
Absolutely.
So we contended in our application that that there was a need and that we had the
correct
capability to do this. Were the funds only to be utilized for the remediation itself, or could you use it also for staffing and things?
It was 10%. I believe it was roughly 10% that was used for staffing, but then the rest was used for, it was 20% for staffing, 80% for remediation.
Any other questions?
Just one more. Can renters apply?
Can renters apply? Yes.
Thank you.
So if I could just make a suggestion around this, and it's not a question, but to the councilwoman's suggestion about trying to keep these funds, maybe we can connect with our state legislators on this and see if they can intervene and
then
see if we can.
Of course, you'll hear this narrative, but one of the biggest issues we also deal with is understaffing. So we only have 2 people in my office who is working on this. One who's doing the administrative side, the other who's doing the inspection. So if we had more people, that would also help us to get the word out a little bit more.
Oh, so wait, so but the grant allows you to spend 20% on salaries, correct?
Correct.
So I guess for legal or BA, is there any way we can hire more individuals to help administer, if that's probably one of the deficiencies why we can't utilize the money that's allotted, because outreach and then capacity. So is there anything we can do as it relates to that as far as getting?
Yeah, we can look into that, Councilman.
Well, my question, just to piggyback off the councilman, can we like cross-train like inspectors from other departments to help out?
I can actually answer that for them. So we have the remediation side, but we have the inspection side. So I do have 3 inspectors, but those 2, even though those are different, we have already started cross-training.
Thank you, Director.
Thank you.
Waladia Staton.
Good evening, Council President. Walkidia Staton for.
Yes. I
Department of
apologize.
Finance. Here for one item, 10.15, resolution number 260-057. It is an resolution authorizing the award of competitive bid contract to NW Financial Group LLC for financial advisory services to assist the city with financial planning, cost minimizing, and long-range budget strategies. The contract was approved under NJSA 48:11-4. City advertised for proposals October 15th of 2025. We received 3 bids and the evaluation committee recommended NW Financial Group. It is a contract term for 1 year with up to 4 optional 1-year renewals. Contract is about $300,000. Funds available for $105,000 have been encumbered under PO 26-00037.
Yeah, don't we use NW Financial now?
They weren't on their contract.
Excuse me?
The contract expired and we put out new bids for new options and they won the new contract.
Have we been using them in the past?
Yes.
For how long?
22 years.
Since 2004, Councilman.
Since 2004, we've been using them. We've just seen the press release of us being 250-something million in debt. They are the financial consultants. Aren't these the individuals that applied for the grant for the mental health? Didn't they write that the grant with the mental health?
No, that was Millennium.
Last millennium? Okay. But the bigger question here is if these individuals been providing financial advisory services for us and if we're in the hole, I'm confused as to the level of confidence we have in their service.
Hello? Yeah. As per the memo that we circulated to the council, they'll be utilized for very specific applications going forward. You know, with regard to long-term abatements and the pilot programs, the administration tends to do an audit of those programs. And because they've been here since 2004, they have an intimate knowledge that we could not get from any other consultants. So the intention here is that it's an on-basis utilization, meaning we don't just pay them, you know, when we utilize them, we have to pay them for their services, but to utilize them for those specific services. And the finance department is going out for an RFP to look at a broader spectrum of applicants that can further guide us with financial, you know, the future of the city and diversify what they're looking at for that.
Okay.
So we're not going to rely on them entirely like we have historically. They're there for a specific purpose to help us with the audit of those programs. And then the city will be going out to vendors to find new vendors that can help us with the financial service going forward.
What are the?
Hold on, relax.
1 second, relax.
Be that as it may, on as-needs basis, I'm just of the opinion that if you are part of a team that performs poorly, you're not rewarded with anything. You're part of the problem in essence, right? So I just know for me, given the current financial climate and situation that the city's in, and seeing that these individuals was there, I just don't feel confident on any level of doing it. I know if it was my money personally and I hired someone to do something and they messed up, I don't want them. I don't want nobody that know them. I don't want nobody that's related to them. I don't want nobody that used to work for them. Right? I just don't think is good. That's just my opinion.
Can I get clarification on that? So to the councilman's point, what was their role in the past 4 years?
So
what did they advise us on?
Good afternoon, Council Kyle Greaves. They've mainly advised us for debt financing and also assisting with pilot analysis to.
In the last 4 years?
Yeah, mainly. Yeah. We do have bond counsel separately to advise legally on any bond issuances. And we have a budget and accounting consultant that helps us do our day-to-day operations. So the last few years, they've really been focused on the city's debt portfolio and abatements and pilots for the finance department. I'm not entirely sure what services they provided outside of finance department. I know they assist with the HEDC department as well. I just not sure specific projects.
So they're not involved with like the day-to-day budgeting and the finance or?
No.
Okay.
I have a question. Acting BA Horton, you mentioned that, this is for a limited scope that, for the work they were already doing, as it pertains to pilots and things like that. But that we would also be seeking to establish a new contract for a more broader scope of financial advisory services to get us out of the mess that we're in. My question is, might it be more cost effective to fold the work that they would be doing under this contract into that larger contract that we are then seeking to put out an RFP for?
So yes and no. It's an as-needed basis, so this contract does not guarantee them the full amount, right? Whatever we use from it based on our consulting with them, that's what they would be paid for it. The funds would still be available broadly. So when we do go out to RFP for all the additional services, the money's still in the pot, so to call it, of the city budget.
Thank you. And were there any other firms that bid on this?
We're 3 firms total.
Would it be possible to share the analysis of the different firms?
It's attached. So if you look at the document, the very end, they have it goes back to the RFP process. Just for all the accounts to kind of rephrase it, because I know a lot of people are new to this process. We do a request for proposal or an RFP where we put it out to public bid, where anyone, that qualifies could bid on these projects. In this instance, we had 3 respondents. Those respondents, submit an application based on the criteria set out in the RFP. Once we receive those applications, we elect a team internally, generally a team that would either interact with or oversee, the bid that we're putting out. And those members score blindly, based on those different applications, how they rank each one based on a limited set of criteria. Once those scores come in, they compile them all and say, hey, based on the 4 people in this case, how they scored each section of those 3 applications, this one ranked number 1, this one ranked number 2, and this one ranked number 3. And then based on those selections, purchasing makes a recommendation to the council saying, of our review, this one received the highest rank based on the criteria for the RFP.
How many people reviewed it?
4 people for this application.
I only see in the review names 2 among city employees, unless I'm missing it.
There was Vivian Webb, John Mercer, Ray Singh, and Kyle Greaves.
Let's see, Singer among the documents that I have available to me. And the last person you mentioned. I see Vivian Webb, I see John Mercer.
I'm looking at one from online right now. It says Vivian Mercer, Singh, Staten.
Where's Singh? What page?
If I click on it, let's see if it takes me to me. Council, if you want something not holding up, I can just refer to in a minute.
Sorry, Councilman, I interrupted you. Did you have something else? No. So, Peter, I asked you offline about this. I understand that they're going to be utilized for for some of their continuing purposes here, I guess, and more limited in scope with regard to tax abatements and bonding. I asked for, and can get a copy for all the council. I asked for their analysis for all the tax abatements, including the Pompidou tax abatement that I'd like to see. And what their review of that was, their analysis and recommendation to the city council at that time, among other tax abatements that they may have chimed in on. And I'm just going to share my other observation for the, as I said, in 22 years on this in this role. And I know in my last 4 years, there was an analysis, I think it was for Jersey Avenue Light Rail 619 Marin, had very different opinions about kind of their analysis. And if I can get a copy of that analysis to share with the council and how they analyzed that as we were trying to expand affordable housing in Jersey City back then, which I think it was like 2018, 19, I'm not sure exactly, that year. And I will say that I found their analysis to be many of their assumptions, and I'm just going on recollection. I don't have this information in front of me. If you can pull it up, that'd be great, and find it. I believe the property was 619 Marin, and it was the Jersey Avenue Light Rail redevelopment area. And I found their assumptions to be just ill-founded, and that they didn't have a good basis for their analysis. And as I think I recall saying in the meeting itself, that they were doing the mayor's bidding at the time. That was my feeling. And they were just trying to push the project through. I mean, not push the project against the project for an opportunity to build affordable housing at the time, right? So I would ask that we share all of that with the city council so that they can have all the information about NW Financial.
Absolutely, Councilor. I received your request. We're compiling the documents. It might take us a while because there are a significant amount of documents that they prepared, but I'll get them to you as soon as I can, and I'll add 319 Mayor into that as well.
That was going to be my point. Councilman Gilmore brought up our current budget crisis with past advisors. I know that the city has auditors. I think the council was assuming, though, in good faith, that the city actually listened to the auditor's advice or the financial advice that we received from these advisors. So I would just echo what Councilman Lavaro said about this particular financial group's reports. I don't want to loop everyone in with giving us bad advice if we as a city did not follow it. So anything you have on that would be great. I'm anticipating that there will be other financial professionals who come before us for contracts.
Thank you. Director Woodson?
Good afternoon, council members. I have two items in front of you this evening. First being item number 10.17, resolution 26-059. It's a resolution providing local support for Grass House Company to operate a Class 5 retail cannabis business at 523 Tunnelly Avenue. It was approved by the planning board on April 22nd, 2024, and by the CCB on December 8th, 2025.
Thank you, Director. I just wanted to ask generally if we have a account for current licenses open in Ward D, any count of licenses applied for right now in Ward D, and then if there's a possibility of getting a report for the tax income that the CCB has already taken in from licensed dispensaries.
So far as the your tax question, we've collected $982,000 since we started. We've been collecting tax for approximately 2 years.
Okay, thank you.
You were asking about the number of approvals for Class 5 in Ward D.
Right.
I think this one makes probably number 18.
This would be the 18th?
18th, not open yet, but 18th that have been approved by council.
Okay, sorry, just remind me, I thought there was a 8 license, but this is the 18th.
Yes, because those were all grandfathered in before the cap was instituted in April of last year.
Okay. And understand that some have closed, of course, correct?
Yes, 3 have closed.
3 have closed.
Actually,
So
we were notified 3 were closed, but we just heard yesterday that one's reopening.
one is reopening. So this would be the 16th open should it go forward.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I mean, I'll just say for the record that I've heard no concerns from constituents about this particular location. I've spoken with the business owner, and he's been extremely intentional about the social equity component of this business. So I've heard no direct concerns about this particular business. I just want to get clarification. So thank you for the count of the licenses and where they are.
Your mic.
You're not on.
All right, finally.
You're good now.
Yes, I don't see the light, Mr. Gilmore. Thank you, everyone, for teaching me how to use mic. But so there is one right across the street. Is that true?
Directly across the street from 523 Tunnelly Avenue?
Yeah.
No.
That's not true?
No.
Sorry, thank you.
There are others on that same side of the street going more north on Tunnelly Avenue.
Okay.
There used to be is there still a rule about distance between each, or does that not exist?
Actually, that rule was removed once we put the cap. So the 600-foot rule no longer applies.
And what was
Also
the,
also note that there was a moratorium, so we stopped taking applications from May of 2023, actually April of 2023 through April of 2025.
what was the rationale for removing that restriction?
Because of the cap. So if a business owner decided that they weren't as concerned about the distance because it was still capped at 8 per ward, this would be their business decision.
But the people who applied were on the, that originally applied with the idea that they thought there was a cap, right? Like, not that there was a that there would be.
Somewhat, that's true, but there's the question of when does the pin go in a map? And the pin, it was decided that the pin went into the map at the time of council approval. And anyone who had applied prior to that pin going in the map would be allowed to continue with the application.
Any other questions on 1017? Next one.
Next would be item number 10.16, resolution 26-058. It's a resolution providing local support for Beverly Incorporated to operate a Class 6 retail cannabis business at 488-492 Municipal Avenue. And just so you know, a Class 6 license is delivery. And that was approved by zoning on February 6th, 2025, and the CCB on December 8th, 2025.
Questions? Okay, thank you, Director.
Thank you.
Deputy Chief Hart.
Council President, council members, good evening. My name is Deputy Chief Lauren Hart, representing the Jersey City Fire Department for agenda item 10.10, resolution 26-052. This is a resolution authorizing the Department of Public Safety, Division of Fire, to accept funding from the United States Department of Homeland Security, FEMA, under the fiscal year 2024 Assistance to Firefighter Grant Program. This represents $939,000 for equipment and training that the fire department desperately needs. There is a 10% match for the grant, and just for a frame of reference, the fire department over the past 15 years has relied very heavily on grant funding from FEMA and federal sources. Off the top of my head, I'd say somewhere in the rounds of $20 to $25 million for new hires, for equipment such as SCBAs, which is for this grant, fire trucks, and other training. So this is a critical grant that we're hoping that you guys will accept. Any questions?
Questions?
I just want to ask legal, because I noticed some of the language in this grant spoke towards the cooperation with ICE, and we are a sanctuary city. So I'm just thinking, by statute, does it make us, like, how does that work?
I can let legal correct me if I'm wrong, but the EO that the mayor issued back in January of this year would take precedence over any of these issues. So there's nothing that can compel us to do that would supersede the EO.
Oh, so the executive order supersedes anything after that, basically.
Whereas how employees interact, or how they would somehow cooperate, the EO would supersede what the grant would require.
So I guess for legal, I mean, if working with ICE is written in the grant, right? I'm just trying to, you guys don't, am I bugging? Is it a conflict? What?
No, so we're preparing a memo on this for the council. We received a number of questions. The law department is reviewing it, probably tonight. So tomorrow morning we'll have that to you, and we can have some discussions if you have any further questions about it.
I mean, because I like the money, but I just like, it just seems like it's conflicting, and I'm not exactly.
And Councilman, you're probably going to see a lot more of this come up because this language is getting added to almost all federal grants. So that's why I have the memo for you to review.
Thank you.
Which article in this document is referencing the ICE?
Article 11.
11.
So just to clarify, this is Councilwoman Little, just to clarify, we will hear from Corporation Counsel tomorrow regarding if it is true that the EO would supersede any language in this.
That's correct. The law department and the administration will send a memo together.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I also wanted to ask, I know the EO covers personnel actions, but I want to make sure that like in terms of data sharing, like would the provisions of this enable ICE to come in and access our city data?
The EU would precede all of that. So nothing could be shared without a staff member actually complying.
So, so Peter and Sarah, I guess. So the issue of the EO is only one of the issues, though. So it's I don't think anyone up here is saying we're going to be bound by this grant in terms of how our city employees act towards ICE. I think that the second issue is more pressing. It's the recipient certifies under the penalty of perjury that it will comply with the grant requirements and deal with ICE. I'm okay not complying at all with any of these grant applications as a city, but I think that's the legal issue that needs to be evaluated, not whether the mayor's executive order will supersede this grant language.
We'll have that in the memo for you tomorrow.
Any other questions?
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Laura, tax assessor?
Good afternoon, Council President and Council members. I'm Laura Takuri from the Tax Assessor Office. I'm here for two resolutions which are for the same purpose and the same terms. Resolution number 1 is 26-040A, item 10.06 for Real Property Analytics Incorporated. Resolution number 2 is 26-049, item 10.07 for Integra Realty Resources LLC. Those resolutions authorize the Tax Assessor Office to retain an appraisal firm that was selected through the public bidding process to assist defending the city property assessments when appeals are filed with the Hudson County Board of Taxation or the New Jersey Tax Court. In some cases, particularly commercial and income-producing properties require an independent and state-certified appraisal and an expert testimony. This resolution allows my office to obtain those services only when it's necessary. The firms were selected during the open public bidding. The contract doesn't exceed the $80,000 per year for each company for 2 years term with a 3 optional 1-year extension. This is a long-standing process and is essential practice that helps and protects the city tax base and prevents unjustified assessment reductions that would otherwise shift the burden to the taxpayers. I respectfully request the council to support and approve those contracts, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Please tell me the number again.
It's $80,000 per year, each company.
Oh, 10-6 or 10-7, 6 and 7. Laura, as it relates to the appeals, is there any data on, like, I guess in the last 4 years, how many appeals we've lost, like as it relates to property owners disagreeing with the assessment we associated with their property?
We can provide you to see how many cases we lost, just to keep in mind that we have the COVID crisis in 2 years. So it's kind of like triggering future years. COVID years was 2020 and 2021. I know a few council members are new with assessing. So the COVID years affected a lot of income producing properties. So we do have appeals the multiple years due to the COVID crisis, which affected more the retails, office spaces. And actually, up to today, we do have a lot of buildings that have been having like a higher vacancies, especially office spaces. That's why they're filing appeals.
Okay. Well, I mean, for the sake of what I'm asking for, I mean, I don't necessarily need data as it speaks to commercial space. I'm also concerned about 1 and 2 family homes, even 3, 4, but mainly residential. I just want to see just how much how much money we're allocating to defend the assessment prices and how successful we are.
In residential properties, is not many. I can provide you some documents. It's more about the high buildings, the biggest buildings. That's the biggest appeals, because when it's the small appeals, we can defend those internally because it's due based on compatible sales. So usually properties from 1 to 4 family home is based on compatible sales. And 5 units and up is based in income producing data when it's apartments, and apartments is based in like commercial spaces and hotels is based on income. So I use the appraisals only when it's for big projects with big exposure in assessment and properties that is like over like 80 million, $100 million. I need an expert to be able to testify and provide an appraisal report. For small claims, we do internally.
Oh, sort of 4 and under, we're
Yes,
basically.
because usually when we do assessing is based on the market of October 1st of the pre-tax year. So we do based on market value. So we do have data internally to support our appeals. So small claims are defended more in-house. So if it's a big exposure that we need support, like it's a case for 2 or 3 years that I need an expert, I might use them, but actually for residentials, we do internally.
Quick question. Thank you, Director. Can you clarify as to why, and maybe I missed this, I'm sorry, why there are 2 separate bids that have gone out?
Because of the value cases that we have in tax court. Currently, we have 2,300 cases in tax court. So that's why we need 2 firms. Appraisal companies basically are expensive. A report is could be over $8,000. So that's why we need 2 firms. And I know you're surprised because appeals, but just remember that we are the biggest city in line items in New Jersey, in the state of New Jersey, we're the biggest, bigger than Newark. So we have a lot of properties. So that's the reason why we have so many. And also just to make sure that like I explained the COVID, we have cases since 2008. So it is multiple years. So that's the reason why we have it.
Is it proportional to what other cities see? I mean, we're a large city in New Jersey, but
it's hard to compare Jersey City because we're next to New York. So the market is totally different than other cities in the state of New Jersey. You can see based on the market how it's happening in the past year. And now is no comparison with 2 or 3 years ago. So it is not a pattern that you can say, okay, it was the same like 2 or 3 years ago. It's not even close to what it was 2 or 3 years ago. And we do have the revaluation back in 2018, which happens based on the market of 2016 and 17, which is nothing compared with today's market.
Okay, thank you.
Laura, so the appeals just growing, the number of appeals is just growing year over year?
In past 2 or 3 years, has been in the 2000s. So it's like multiple years. Again, is one property can have 5 or 6 years, multiple lots. But yeah, because again, COVID was a big thing in Jersey City for the high rises in John Allen Square, in the waterfront, because of the office space, everybody's working from home. So it's a lot of vacancies. But people are trying to repurpose those buildings, trying to make it now apartments. So it's taking a process to do that. So now it's a rental income market. So that's making probably in the 2 or 3 years, changing what is the waterfront now to move it from the office to apartments. So that might help in the future for ratables.
And this may be more of a question to Bill. Was part of that budget deficit included underfunded tax appeals? Was that part of that 254 million, a significant portion?
Good evening again, Council. Yes, tax appeals has been an area where the city has not done a good job budgeting and has consistently under budgeted. And we expect to make better estimates and fix that as we get the 2026 budget in order.
Is that the funds that are budgeted for those tax appeals, that comes out of your office, Laura, or someone else?
The city. That's the city that they actually, like Bill said, the prior administration didn't put nothing on the side for appeals. Having history of past 3 or 4 years, it was numbers there, so they were not put it in the past year or so. So it's not coming from my budget, it's coming from what the city budget is, refund.
And maybe this is more of a Bill or Peter question. Who's responsible for budgeting those underfunded budget items. The tax appeal line, I should say.
Yeah, so I wouldn't want to point blame at any one person or entity. Generally, in the past, the finance department or the DA's office would receive an estimate from the law department at what they think could be settled that year or could be, adjudicated that year. And based on that analysis, they would budget, according to that number. And again, it's not an exact science. It's just based on, what pending cases we have, the liability of those cases or potential exposure of those cases, and whether or not they think it's reasonable that could be settled in that year and how long that settlement would extend.
I would just add to that, Councilman, that, so best practice you would always budget some amount and build some reserves. It's not an exact science. It takes a long time to get through these appeals, but it is best practice to make your best estimate. If you overshoot, you build a reserve. If you undershoot, you use the previous year's reserves.
Mama. To council. Okay.
Well, I'll make one more statement. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
So does the number of tax appeals also point to and I'll say the dirty word, revaluation? Given the growing number, we're 10 years from the last, or 8 years from the last revaluation? I'm not sure exactly when that.
So the revaluation happens in 2018.
Yeah. So
the appeals that were filed is any properties that was after the rebound, which was 100% of the market value. So most of the appeals came from 2019, 2021 because of the market. Back then we assessed based on 100 of the market. Then when the ratio drops, then that's how basically they file appeals. And properties that.
I'm not going to put you on the spot, but are we overdue for a revaluation? Is what I'm trying to get at.
That would be up to the mayor and administration. But if the ratio drops over 85%, it's supposed to. The last revaluation happens in 2018. Prior to it was in 1988.
Yeah. So. Thank you, Laura.
Any other questions?
Any other questions? Going once, going twice. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Director Dunn.
Good evening, Council President. Good evening, Council. How are you? I'm here to read for two things at the moment. The first one is a resolution 10.12, resolution 26-054 is a resolution authorizing the renewal of the open-end contract with Clark Moynihan Landscaping Construction LLC for the 2026 general park maintenance of Pershing and Gateway for the Department of Recreation Youth Development, Division of Park Maintenance.
Pete, this is the same issue we had the last meeting, right? It's Clark Moynihan and Pershing Field and Gateway Parks were on separate contracts.
Yeah. That's going to go on until we do the.
Yeah, I was a question on that. Can you remind me, why is this one an open-ended as opposed to the one for the other parks with Clark Moynihan? That was a 3-month, I believe.
Extension, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we're doing a new RFP for the other one.
Okay. And then just, is there a plan to bring this work in-house that's started to bubble up since we last met?
We're doing a cost analysis as we speak, and then I'll bring it over to the administration for them to decide.
Fantastic.
Yeah, that'll be.
So just to clarify, open-ended means we, the city, could terminate it at any time if we were to bring it in-house?
No, if there was a problem with the contract, then we could, if there's a problem with the contractors, then we could take it away.
So open-ended means they're entitled to this contract in perpetuity?
Open-ended means we budget for, let's say, $300,000. And if we don't spend that money, we get to keep it back. We don't guarantee them, the full amount of the money. Again, I hate to use that phrase, but as needed basis. So we utilize them up to the contract amount. And once we hit that amount, the contract ceases unless the council decides to extend it.
And just to clarify, it's not a for cause termination, right, in the contract language?
Sorry, Tom.
Keith, you said we can get rid of them if there's an issue with the contract.
Yeah, if there's massive issues, if they're not showing up, if they're not doing the job that they were contracted for from the scope of work, then we have the right to terminate the contract.
Right, that would be for cause, though. Do we have the right to terminate without cause?
No.
Okay, we should look into that for future contracts. All of our employees are at will, our contractors should be too.
So Keith, this contract is for 2 parks. What is the lawn maintenance schedule? Like how many times do they mow each?
If you don't mind, I'll send that to you tomorrow, if you don't mind. Because they visit the park once a day.
Oh, they visit the park once a day?
They go to each park once a day, except for like Sundays. But I'll give you the exact schedule. I have it on my desk.
Oh, yeah, I would like to see the schedule. I haven't seen any vendor at any of these parks every day.
Which parks? Okay.
So just to clarify, thank you. Thank you for explaining, Director Donath, and thank you for the clarification, Acting BA Horton. This is open-ended in the sense that we keep spending until we hit the dollar amount, and at that point, we would have to issue a new open-ended contract, but there's no time frame on how long it will take us to spend that dollar amount. Sorry.
Sorry to interrupt. There is a certain amount of time for every time we have a contract like this, it always has an expiration date.
Okay.
I believe this one is for 1 year. So how they do the analysis is essentially it should take 1 year to potentially spend that amount of money. You don't have to spend it. If we come in low, then we get to keep the funds from it. If we go over earlier, then we have to go to council to have it potentially exceed the amount that we originally had intended for it. But there always is a stop date. We don't have a perpetual contract.
Okay, great, thanks.
Well, I just want to point out for the administration, the VA's office, it's not unique to your contract. Actually, I should have said this earlier. Looking at all the contracts, or most of them, it seems to me, the effective start date is January 1st. So we're currently utilizing their services, is that it? Yeah. So we haven't approved this, and you're using the services. I'm going to reiterate my call that I've made in the past that it'd be great if we can get this on December 15th, maybe like 2 weeks before the actual start of the contract, so that we can take away kind of the rubber stamp feel of all of this, right?
What specifically are they doing? What specifically have they been doing since January 1st?
Snow removal. That's their big thing.
Just the snow.
Parks, yeah. Parks are still being used. Doing a lot of snow removal.
And they're not responsible for cleanliness or anything, right?
They are.
Are they responsible to clean the park too? Oh my goodness.
Is there anything specific that you're talking about that you haven't seen them do? I think I sent you the pictures last week about the Autobahn not being done, but I sent the pictures.
Yeah, it was after the allotted time. It was after the time when I was over there, so they did come afterwards. But no, I'm just trying to. I just know specifically for Audubon Park and Berry Lane Park. Like I literally live in those parks.
So do I.
Right, so I know the conditions like the back of my hand. So it's just confusing to me that that I would hear that these people are there every day. And I'm not even talking about weekends. I'm just talking about every day: Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
I mean, I don't even manage the contract. That's through Vernon, and I still see them a lot.
But you said you're going to send the schedule, right? So
Yeah, that's.
I mean,
circulate the
I'll
schedule
have Vernon
to
send you
council?
like pretty much the schedule that they have over there, but yeah.
Okay.
But I just like, what are the issues with Berry Lane? Can you be more specific?
The issues with Berry Lane, I'm gonna send you some pictures.
Can you just tell me what they are?
Yeah, I would recommend, sorry, Captain, if you don't mind, I'd recommend connect with him offline. Please CC my office. I'll be happy to follow up on the issues that are documented, and I can make sure they're abated.
Yeah, I would love to know the issues. That way we can fix them. But if there are longstanding issues, and if anybody has any longstanding issues and they've had it for a while in their pocket, There's no reason not to send it to us. We want to do what's best for each park. And if there are issues and you're holding on to it, we could easily get that fixed.
Hey, Director, so we'll send any other issues over.
Yeah.
Any other questions on 10.12?
And then I have one more. 10.13 is a resolution authorizing the city of Jersey City to apply and accept for the New Jersey Department of Community Affairs, the local recreation improvement grant. And then something a little bit unorthodox here, Council President. We have the opportunity to actually apply for another $70,000 for this grant, but it's due on the 13th. And I'm hoping that we could actually add this to the agenda.
It's the same grant as
Same exact grant.
13. Okay. And when is the deadline? Is it time sensitive? If we put it on the next
Extremely
agenda,
time-sensitive.
we would lose it?
Yes. Extremely time sensitive.
What's the dollar amount for the grant, Keith?
It's up to 70,000.
70,000. And for 1013, what's the grant amount?
Same thing.
Same thing?
Yep.
It says 75 on the.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, 75,000.
Okay.
Actually, we could probably go up to 100, but I don't for this project. Okay. And one project would be for working on a new vandal-proof bathroom over at Pershing Field. And then the other one is a lot of repairs to the splash pads. So the kids have the splash pads for next year.
Splash pads at Pershing.
Yeah, all over. Yeah, it's
Oh,
various parks. Yeah.
throughout the city.
Yep.
So when is the grant period closed, Keith? You said the 13th? And when did when did it open?
I'm not sure when it opened.
And how much? How do we get to, and it's not specifically for recreation, but how do we get close to deadlines for grants? Like it's free money to upgrade, to improve, to help out, to assist. How do we get so close to deadlines? Because my major concern is the possibility of losing it. We just had a pipe burst yesterday. What happened if that pipe would burst on a Thursday and then we don't have a meeting until a Friday or the following week? Then we're SOL for applying for a grant.
Yeah, but to fix a pipe, we wouldn't actually use the grant. That would more be emergency.
No, I'm saying the city, we didn't have a meeting because of that.
Oh.
And if we don't have a meeting, we can't approve the application to apply. So that's what I'm saying. It's just.
No, I feel pretty confident with this administration that this will not be something.
Okay.
I guess the question is, Director, why is this one so late?
Yeah, I don't have the answer to that one. We found it. And
There's
apply for it.
There's a consultant who works on this?
Yes.
Yeah. So you're not the one putting together the application?
I mean, if I found out about it,
Hold on,
probably
Vivian.
could have done it, but yeah.
Vivian, I think she has some information.
So what happened was we had the opportunity to apply for the first tranche for the bathrooms. Then the consultant went back and did some more research and said, hey, we can put in 2 applications. So that's why this one is so last minute. It was because originally we were under the impression, and in the past, we only put in 1 application. Our consultant did more research and said, let's try to get 2 applications in. And that's why we chose to do the splash pads.
But how long have the grant been open though?
The application for, I think it was about 30 days.
Oh, it was only 30 days.
Right. It wasn't a long application period.
And so this is the second application.
Right. So there are 2 LRIG applications that we are going to submit in the next 10 days.
For the same thing?
No, one is for bathrooms and
Splash pads.
Splash pads?
and the other one's for splash pads. One is for various parts and one is for Pershing Field.
Okay. So kind of just to clarify, there is one that's currently on the agenda that's been available to everyone. This one they just handed out was the second one that they found out about recently. This one will be added to the agenda, assuming the council approves it tomorrow at the council meeting, and then it can be voted on by you.
Yeah, thank you, whatever we can get, but the only suggestion will be, I'm happy that we found out about the second grant, But if it can be in advance in future, so we have enough time. But whatever we can get, why not, right?
It'll definitely be in the future. Keith has actually submitted a wish list of grants that he want to apply for the next 12 months. So we have a plan.
Thank you. Thank you.
Who are the consultants?
Grant Wright.
Grant Wright.
Grant writer.
Grant Wright.
Grant Wright.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're not the same one as mentioned earlier by the councilman.
Yeah.
And I would add to that this administration has been very aggressive with grants, trying to find additional and alternative funding sources for the city. Obviously, ideally, we'd like to get it to you as soon as possible, but anyone who works in grants can tell you, and Vivian can verify, there's thousands, if not hundreds of thousands grants out there. So it's sometimes if you find something or Grant Wrights finds it and you've got 30 days to apply, go for it. It's better to, try to rush it through as quickly as possible to get something than just disqualify yourself from the beginning. So we'll obviously try to be, as forthright as possible and bring it to you as quickly as possible. But we also are all telling all department directors to just be very aggressive with locating alternative sources of funding.
Yes.
Any money we can get in, why not? And especially when we have deficits. So
Yeah, see if they have any grants that speaks to like financial mismanagement that can help us out.
Yep.
He can get
Who does the prioritization of what's decided here? So the Pershing Field bathroom versus splash pads versus, I don't know, dog park, whatever the case is. I'm just asking who comes up with the prioritization?
I would rather go through the administration for most of it, but it was so quick that it was very quick, so I recommended the bathrooms at Pershing Field and the splash pads. I'm also going to recommend for pretty much all the other public bathrooms that we have.
Do we have like a list of deferred maintenance items and things like that we can like dip into when these opportunities come up so that we can immediately?
I actually just sent one over to I keep a running list of all the big projects that we have, whether it be.
I actually don't expect it to be you, but somebody in our facilities or something who's involved in that should be maintaining something.
I think what might be better for the council is because there's a lot of different grants that have different requirements, county grants, state grants, federal grants. If there's project that the councils have near and dear to them, or they're like kind of wish list, it might be beneficial, whether it be infrastructure, parks, or the administration, just to loop in all three, the short bulleted list of, hey, here's my top 3 projects. And then as those things come up, we can try to, add those grants and add those projects to the grant funding. It's just a lot of grants, like open space grants, have very strict criteria. So it's not a 1-for-1 where we can always utilize what your wish list is. But if we have something we can utilize, we definitely want to, try to contribute that as much as possible.
I appreciate the idea of submitting our wish list and so forth. I'm actually just asking if we have a prioritization list. So that the administration is going to create, if it's doesn't currently exist, what are the most pressing improvement projects that we need to address here in Jersey City? Those that may have health or safety risks or non-compliance with state code, things of that nature.
Safety is always first.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's, anything you have, any wish lists or anything like that, just send it over. I'll put it on the list. I'll let you know where it is, let you know if it's being worked on or not being worked on. Totally transparent.
All right. Thank you, Director.
Thank you.
Thank
Have a good night, everybody.
Vivian?
Good evening, Council. I'm here to present Resolution 26-063, Item 10.21. It's a resolution authorizing the City of Jersey City Office of Grant Management to accept a grant in the amount of $125,000 from the state of New Jersey through the Department of Community Affairs. This is the Jackson Hill MPP grant, which it's a pass-through grant, and we're accepting this grant on the behalf of Jackson Hill SID. And there is a $25,000 match that the city is required to match for the grant and for the SID.
Questions?
Where's the match coming from?
It's coming from the city's matching fund.
From the where?
The city's grant matching fund.
We have a separate account just for matching funds?
Yes, we have a separate account that is established for matching funds that we utilize for grants that require matches in the current fund, yes.
Can I get the balance on that?
Right now, so how the matching fund account works is while we're in temporary budget, we're able to just add it to the budget. So normally we add as we go. To date, with this grant, we'll be adding $483,000. After we adopt the budget, we normally set aside about $750,000 to $1 million. And what happens is if we don't utilize the money, we have to do a Chapter 85 to reduce that amount. Or if we go over that amount after the budget is adopted, we then have to do a Chapter 85 to raise it.
Sorry, what's Chapter 85?
That's a resolution that we have to send over. It's a resolution and it has to go to the state in order to allow us to add those amounts to the budget or reduce the amounts.
So the state requires us to have a matching fund.
Yes.
Vivian, if you can, I know, I guess for the last 3 years, I was screaming to everyone about the MLK grant. I don't know if Peter, if you're privy to the are we bringing that back before the council?
Hello? Is this the one about the road, I think, or improvements around MLK?
Yeah, we had got 2 tranches of money, I think 1.3 and 1.7 or something like that. And then they clearly articulated what we were supposed to do with the grant. They said we couldn't hire police officers for the thing, but for whatever reason, we hired police officers. And it was for safety upgrades along the corridor of MLK, but somehow a light got installed on Van Verse and Grand. And I know at some point we have to rectify the money because we got to get the money back from the state. Am I understanding that correctly?
It's probably a reimbursable grant.
Yes.
And there is a MLK corridor grant currently that's open through infrastructure. I can look into that one for you to see exactly what that scope of work is for that particular, for those funds.
Yeah.
I think the councilman one was unexpended funds, but I can double check to see what that is.
Yeah, because I mean, if we spent money and we're waiting to get it back, at least, I mean, we're not going to get all of it because we didn't follow all of the grant, but at this point, we need money from everywhere.
Yep, understood, Councilman. We'll follow up.
Any other questions?
Yes, with this and this NPP grant, what's the total amount of the grant? Because I know it's being paid over years.
So there were 2 tranches of money that we're referring to right now. Actually, I have Jillian Sergeant Allen here. She's from the Jackson Hill SID, and she can speak to it better than I can because she's responsible for the budgeting of the funds.
Jillian, can you come up and give us a breakdown?
Good afternoon, Council and Council President. Good to see everybody. Yep. So the Neighborhood Preservation Program for Jackson Hill Special Improvement District was initiated in 2022. It is a 5-year grant of $125,000 a year for a total of $625,000 to be received from the state, with $125,000 coming from the city of Jersey City at $25,000 a year. And that the purpose of the funds is to, as it's, revitalize the community, the district, and the corridors, improve the vitality of the district, address, safety issues, sanitation issues, beautification issues in a specific section of the drive. So we're looking at Orient and MLK through Bayview and MLK. So to date, we've only received 1 tranche of the funds. So we're looking to spend all that money really quickly.
Is lighting a part of
lighting, garbage cans, removal of the do you call that? And the storefronts where they have that, all of their advertisements on the window,
Okay.
like that's.
Removal.
Yep, totally. And lighting,
Yes.
holiday lighting is, we're hoping to use it for that as well.
So, Peter, I know because you guys said you're going to get garbage cans, and part of the issue with the garbage cans is my concern. I just want to make sure that they're universal throughout the whole corridor.
Yep.
And I know DPW I guess at one point, did they purchase something? They were supposed to purchase some. Is those garbage cans?
No. So I've been in conversation with your chief of staff, Erica, and Director Dublin to figure out, there's some money for garbage cans specifically for MLK Drive.
Yes.
So we've got a long district on that end. So there's about $10,000 is what I was told. But it looks like they're the advertising garbage cans. And I'm not familiar, so I haven't heard back yet. So if there's a more clear answer from the VA.
If you know, Peter? No?
I do not know, but I can follow up, Council.
But with Director
Thank you.
Dublin, I think she's handling that. And Jillian, how did we determine which section of the avenue to apply the funds to?
So the application, when submitted in 2021, was about targeting a section that had the highest quality of life issues to address. That was one, but also it was about census tracts and low income community member, primarily for the low income census tracts. So that section was about 7 blocks along that stretch, Myrtle, Grant. So engaging the property owners and the business owners in uplifting the community. Yeah.
Any other questions?
Yeah, Jillian, safety is also part of the grant?
Correct. Safety is, and the way we're addressing safety to begin, because we've had to rework a couple things. We are looking at making visible the stores, making sure folks can see into the stores, and specifically public safety, members of public safety, but also we're looking to, and we're investigating cameras that we can partner with the public safety to kind of install in the neighborhoods. But that location is right near the public safety building, which is an interesting.
Should be safe.
Right?
Yeah. Interesting.
I thought I was the only one that thought.
No, that's
So,
Councilman Brooks, you have a question?
That's a remarkable eye, Council President. You saw my thumb on the microphone. What are the physical boundaries of the Jackson Hill SID?
We begin at Fairmount and Monticello, and we run to McAdoo and Martin Luther King Drive.
Okay. All right. So I have a tiny sliver. Yep. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Take it from the top, Sean.
Okay. Our first reading ordinances, item 3.1, City Ordinance 26-006 is an ordinance authorizing the use of up to 3% of payroll taxes collected to be used on administrative expenses and a waiver for entities subject to an out-of-state payroll tax in accordance with recent changes to New Jersey law.
Questions?
Yes. Are we not paying anyone to administer the collection of the payroll tax right now? And is there any estimate of?
We are paying someone, it's our own staff, and it's coming out of our operating fund.
Okay, so this would be.
This was a state law that was passed by some of our local legislators here. They were trying to get us a way to have funding, to have someone professionally dedicated to just making sure this is being collected at the highest rate possible, at the most expansive rate possible.
So a contracted professional.
We could either do contracted or hire in-house.
It would be our decision.
Well, the administration would have to do an analysis to see what's the best way to handle it, and then we'd present that analysis to council for a vote.
Okay, and then it might be fairly hard to judge, but is there any estimate of the uncollected amount of payroll tax that's left on the table?
I do not have a current estimate, but I can try to track something down for you.
Okay, I'd be curious to see if we can.
Absolutely.
Ballpark.
While we're on the subject, we do have an open RFP right now that will be used to help kind of software and, track some of this stuff too. So that will eventually be coming before the council. I'll let you know when the RFP review is done for that.
Previously, Peter, what mechanisms did we have in play to ensure this was kind of like an honor system at one point?
I mean, maybe initially a little bit was that, but the city has historically tried to do some to boost, I guess, payments for these taxes, generally handled through the auditor, the city auditor we have in-house, where we would do things where they would compare, like the county business registry, the state business registry, whatever public documents we'd have, we would compare those lists with people who have paid taxes to us and try to, I guess, parse through their data that would publicly be available. Because again, these taxes are based on residents or from businesses that have employees that, either do or do not live in Jersey City. It changes the formula there. So they would have to parse through a lot of public information to try to verify what the company might be providing us is true or not true. So it's a very complicated kind of procedure to track this money down. It's not exactly straightforward, which is partly why this, legislation was passed to kind of give the city more tools to try to tackle that issue.
All right.
Peter, question, how did we come up with 3%?
I believe that's what the legislator agreed upon.
State law.
Seems like
Is RWJ Barnabas exempt as a not-for-profit?
Yes.
I don't want to imply entirely legally on that, council, or how the law department, correct me if I'm wrong. There's a exemption for certain nonprofits. RWJ has a nonprofit component and has a profit component. So it's not as straightforward they're entirely exempt, but I think there is a component that might be exempt to them.
Thank you. And is there a list of the employers who are currently claiming exemptions for Jersey City resident employees? Sorry, you have to keep stating down.
No, it's fine. I'm happy to, Councilman. Yeah, we have an absolute list of everyone that is contributing. Some companies will have certain exemptions. Some companies will claim to be entirely exempt. We all have that broken down to the best of the ability. We have collected data so far. Obviously, it's not a complete list because there's probably entities out there that we haven't gotten to yet or have been able to get responses from. But for the data that we do have, I'd be happy to provide it to you.
Thank you.
Don't sit, Peter. I have a question.
Get my squats in today.
What's the revenue? How do we decide the minimum revenue for payroll taxes?
I mean, for the rate to which we collect
Yeah.
for?
So, for example, daycares with like multiple, over 100 employees, do they come in this category? How do we just define that?
I might have to defer to law department for some of it. I'm not intimately familiar with the program, but I believe there's a flat tax that would apply to, any qualifying business based on any exclusion as far as do you have employees that live in Jersey City and work in Jersey City and things of that nature. Yeah, so it is a flat tax. There isn't a higher percentage of different companies. That tax was originally, or the percentage of that tax was developed prior to my time. But I can get you more information about if you want to do more detailed analysis.
Thank you, Peter.
A couple of questions here. You could stay seated. The state enabling legislation or request here, the state enabling legislation, can we get copies of that?
Absolutely.
That empowers us to do. And then the second thing was you're going to 3%, up to 3%. I assume the administration will look to take the 3%, right? Is that accurate or?
We're allowed to use the 3%. Depending what direction we go for, as far as in-house versus a third party, that will all factor into, how much money we believe we need to accomplish that and whether or not we'll need the entire 3%.
Go for 3, go for 3, go for 3, no matter what.
I've double checked, maybe Corp Counsel can correct me, but I don't think we can use it for our actual revenue. It has to be allocated just.
Okay.
That's the desperation.
Trust me, we try that too, Councilman.
So it allows you to pay to administer the payroll tax collection program, essentially? Is that?
Essentially administer the collection program, the, I guess, the compliance components of it. It's like the whole apparatus.
And is there a look back period, as we talked about tax abatements and things like that, to be able to get compliance with folks who have not been paying their payroll taxes?
I want to say yes, but I want to double check that before I put myself completely on the record for it.
Well, if there is, I would urge the administration to staff up and let's go after them. And we got a $254 million budget deficit. And if we can collect, I know all this money goes to the Jersey City Public Schools, right? But that's a less burden on taxpayers if the schools have the money that, and maybe they can even keep things flat
Yep.
on their side.
Understood, Councilman.
Okay, Sean.
Next item, item 3.2, City Ordinance 26-007. It's a franchise ordinance granting permission to Avenir West Side Square LLC for the installation of a lit protective bollard at Lot 30.01 in Block 9301, Qualifier 1, also known as 1075 West Side Avenue into the right-of-way. If there are any questions, I believe we have the attorney here representing the applicant.
Questions?
Who's the attorney?
Sure.
Oh,
Don't have any questions? Don't need to
no,
bring it
I
up.
was just, I know, I was just,
As soon as he seen who the attorney was, he had no questions.
The billable event, so let's put you right up here. See.
I was only joking, council members.
Good evening, Council President, council members. Gerard Pizzillo from Genova Burns on behalf of the petitioner, Avenir West Side Square LLC.
Counselor, thank you for coming up. I reviewed the application again, franchise agreement, just for, because it's going to be in the public right of way. And we spoke offline, but just for the record, this was because planning asked you to put something in to protect or to delineate pedestrian traffic with vehicular traffic, correct?
That's essentially correct, Councilman. This is done in consultation as part of a site plan approval obtained in 2019. My client engaged and consulted with PSE&G as well as the Division of Infrastructure. And the location of the bollard is going to be essentially a small spot at the corner of Fayette and Giles Avenue as part of a larger streetscape improvement, of which there's going to be approximately 30 public parking spaces along that side of the street. So to the councilman's point, you're absolutely correct. This just helps delineate that pedestrian versus the, vehicular areas, so to speak. Just for clarification, there is enough clearance. It's 15 feet with the installation of the bollard. So people, those that are disabled or in wheelchairs, it's clear access all the way around. So we made sure, we consulted with the building department as well as infrastructure to confirm all those logistics. And I'm happy to answer any other questions the members may have.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
See, I was pretty right. They didn't really have that. No, I'm kidding. All right, on to our second reading ordinances. Item 4.1, City Ordinance 26-001 is an ordinance amending Chapter 3, Administration of Government, Article 11, Department of Public Safety, Subarticle 1, Division of Police, and Chapter 160 Fee Schedule established, Subsection 7 Fees for the Department of Public Works of the Municipal Code to reform the off-duty and public works rental for nonprofit and cultural events. Item 4.2 was touched on earlier.
Wait.
What's that?
I'll talk 4.1.
Okay.
Could someone tell me how the number was arrived at for 10% for the administrative cost?
I believe I wasn't intimately involved in the project, but I believe they try to stress as far as how much they think the administration could fairly pay and still, not have to be on the hook for too much money of any of the administrative cost. So they did an analysis based on, the size of the event and how much they had to cover for those events, what would be a burden on the civic part of it, and what would be the burden on the taxpayer as far as the city, and arrive at some kind of a medium to cover that.
I had a few questions. On page 1, the new text that is underlined is numbered 12. I think that needs to be renumbered 11. that make sense?
We'll have the law department correct it.
Great. Next, on page 3, the item about crossing guards at $10 per hour. Is that going to be struck?
So, yeah, that should have been removed. They'll update it.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, you can, I feel weird telling you, you can remain, you can stand, you can sit, it's.
Whatever you want, Council.
You're-
I'm happy
you're-
to address you.
Council, which line is being struck? What line are you striking out?
There's a section that indicates that crossing guards should be paid at $10 an hour. That has not been the city practice, so we're going to strike that.
Yep, that's 10 overtime, right?
10 over, I think, whatever it is.
Subsection E4. Could you just, okay, so the cost, the discount for the cost is 50% over the $10,000. So would that mean that kind of like a graduated or progressive system rather, anything over $10,001, the discount would be 50%, and then anything under 10,000, the discount would be 25%?
That's my understanding.
So if an event costs $9,999, the discount would be 25%.
Yep.
And if the event was $10,001, the $1 would be discounted by 50%, or the total event would be discounted by 50%.
I believe the total event.
Is that the intention of the administration? So that means an event that the cost would be different by $2 would receive a much larger discount.
I think you have to draw a line somewhere, practically many of the events will not come to 10,000 versus 9,000. Again, these are the cost of the city side, where they provide an off-duty police, barricades, all that kind of stuff. So most likely, based on the original analysis, to Councilman LeVar's point, they kind of know generally what these different types of events cost, whether it be a smaller event that's more of a block party or a short parade versus your larger, more historic parades like, St. Patrick's Day, the Puerto Rican parade, et cetera. They know generally how much they would cost to cover those events. They know where they're going to fall in that kind of criteria.
Okay. Subsection F, the administrative fee is 10% of the total cost pre-discount or post-discount?
I believe it'd be the total percent of the cost posted, pre-discount. So the gross cost.
The gross cost. Okay. And do we know where we are in the 3-year cycle that commenced January 1st, 2014?
I do not.
Oh, okay. That'd be good to know. Subsection G, how does someone prove undue hardship?
I can have the law department provide you a memo on that or a short email. They would probably have more knowledge of how they interpreted that when they originally drafted it.
Okay. And then last question on page 5, the discount with DPW, same question about the threshold for 25 versus 50%.
Same response. I think the intent was they had to draw a line somewhere. So they were trying to find, based on their historical data, where that kind of boundary would deviate.
Okay. Thank you.
I have some questions. You can stay seated. I have some questions about how nonprofit is defined. So in subsection F on page 3, it says that this additional fee, this administrative cost, won't be charged to a nonprofit organization for an event in a city-owned building, nor to the Jersey City Housing Authority. I just wanted to clarify if nonprofit specifically is referred to registered 501c3 organizations, or whether an organization putting on an event where nothing is bought or sold could be considered. For example, I'm just thinking, I know many neighborhood associations may not be registered as 501c3s. Many of them are, but some of them aren't. And if they wanted to have just like a community picnic or something where nothing would be bought or sold, would that still be considered a nonprofit event?
We can clarify it, but to the best of my knowledge, we don't require you to be 501c3. So that would include other neighborhood organizations that don't have the specific designations.
Okay,
But we'll make sure that
But it
that's
it,
fair.
it does say that like this is to be exempt from the administrative fee. So, okay, all right, thank you.
And to quickly clarify, this doesn't apply to any event. This applies to events that require, traffic enforcement, security guards, that kind of stuff. So it's not contemplated that, a small picnic with friends would anyway be charged or somehow incorporated into this.
Okay, Sean.
So just, I see that the exemption for marathons, that means paying full freight, right? Correct. And then 5Ks, so if it's like a nonprofit doing one of these 5K fundraiser stuff, they would also fall into this.
Correct. As written, anybody that's doing marathons and 5Ks, they're exempt.
Does our temporary budget include the expenses for any parades happening before the full budget for 2026?
The temporary budget would incorporate the previous legislation because this hasn't been enacted yet. So if it needs to be adjusted, we'll have finance adjust it once it's been enacted.
Any other questions? All right, Sean.
I have a question. Are we looking to amend this ordinance in any way?
Motion.
Not, I don't believe anyone has a desire to do that at this time, but
Okay.
If so, then that's
Just wanted to know, that's all.
something that needed to be put on the floor tomorrow.
Okay. All right, next, item 4.2 was touched on earlier. Item 4.3, City Ordinance 26-004 is an ordinance authorizing the acceptance of Block 11612, Lot 3, more commonly known by the street address of 95 Morgan Street from 95 Morgan Street Development LLC. Any questions? Hearing none. Item 4.4, City Ordinance.
Wait,
My second.
sorry. I guess this is actually a comment, but I have not yet received the environmental report, but I did see Acting BA Horton looped in the law department today via email. So that I remember that was a concern about whether the site would require remediation possibly. And, we're buying it for $1, but then it could possibly cost us, $300,000 or something to remediate. So I wanted to see the environmental report. We haven't been able to, the council has not been given that yet. And, so if we're not able to review it before the meeting, is this particular item time sensitive, or could we table it to the next meeting?
Table it. Yeah, that's what I'm about to say. Yeah.
We could carry it if necessary. We don't necessarily table it, but we'd carry it.
You want me to explain that? So
And that's a good opportunity to explain the difference.
Yep. So I'll be the first to explain it. So in order to carry an ordinance, you don't have to have the public hearing. So you carry it to the next meeting, and we would re-advertise it for a public hearing for the next meeting date. If you table an ordinance, you can have the public hearing and you can table it after the close of the public hearing. If you table an ordinance prior to the close of the public hearing or even conducting a public hearing, you're basically killing that ordinance and you would have to start from scratch.
Okay.
Can you repeat that last part again?
Sure. So if you were to table an ordinance prior to the close of a public hearing or without conducting a public hearing, you're basically killing the ordinance and you would have to start from scratch.
Okay. So if we wish to push it to the next meeting, it would be better to carry it.
That would be carrying. Correct. As if you don't get the environmental report and all your colleagues do not receive it, and if it's in the intention of the council to carry it, I would just need a simple motion of the council to carry it to the next council meeting.
Motion.
Tomorrow.
We don't do that today. Caucuses are for informational purposes only. We do not take any action during our caucuses.
I'm thinking the day was Monday, Sean. I apologize.
Hype burst. Anyway,
Next one, Sean.
Thank you.
next and last second reading ordinance, item 4.4, City Ordinance 26-005 is a franchise ordinance granting permission to 20 VANW LLC by it managing Hangwan Zhang, allowing the installation of concrete stairs that extend into the right-of-way beyond the boundary lines of Lot 38, Block 12003, and for the benefit for Lot 38, Block 12003, commonly known as 20 Van Wagen Avenue, Jersey City, New Jersey. Have our public request for a hearing. At this point, we have 48 speakers. That times 3. Anyway, petitions and communications. Any questions or comments on items 6.1 through 6.20? Hearing none, there are no officer communications. Reported directors. We have reported directors 8.1 through 8.15. Any questions or comments on those?
Yeah, Sean.
Sure.
So 2 things, just process questions on how 8.1 and 8.2 got to this, got to this agenda. I have some content questions as well, but first just process. How have we landed with 2 executive orders that were signed by the former mayor?
Okay.
I'm going to have the clerk address those.
So the simple explanation is that those items were signed, the 2 executive orders were signed by the former mayor and were never brought down to my office in a timely manner. The reason why we wound up finding them is because we had an OPA request that was filed in our office because I believe the former mayor tweeted something regarding those executive orders. And once we got the request, we had to do some investigation and we wound up finding the executive orders through our law department. And then we found the originals, and hence the reason why they're placed on as a report of director, because I am obligated to inform the public as well as everybody else when an executive order is signed by either a previous mayor or the current mayor. And if it doesn't make the agenda, I'm required by law to put it on the meeting to let everybody know that the mayor did sign this executive order. And also it's placed online under the mayor's page under executive orders in full.
Thank you for the clarity. And just to ask content-wise, 8.1, because we don't have the links to the EOs in the agenda itself, just to clarify, 8.1 is essentially Phillip's executive order to bar the city from contracting with any business that engages in boycott, divestment, sanctions of the state of Israel. Is that correct?
To see the original contents of it, I don't think it bars anyone. I think it's just saying that you can't not select someone because of their participation or their connection to Israel. But it's a non-discrimination. It's saying, if you have a interaction or association with the country of Israel, you can't not select that contractor because of that reason. But I can get you the copies.
So it's intended to prevent our current city government from practicing boycott, divestment, sanctions against the state of Israel.
Yeah, from my understanding.
Okay. And then the second executive order around supposedly protecting the rights of citizens to so on and so forth. There's is this in regard to the IRA definition of anti-Semitism, or is this targeting a different?
I would have to look at the original order. I don't have it in front of me, Councilman.
Okay, yeah, I would just, I talked with the mayor's office before this. I just wanted to clarify. I know the mayor's office and the administration is reviewing all of the previous mayor's executive orders, and these are going to be included in their review. I just definitely encourage our administration to strike these, because, yeah,
I think first up, so we'll get the clerk to provide you with copies of them, just so you can review them yourselves and make sure that they do or do not comport with any information that you've.
absolutely, thank you, especially because they were not made public in a kind of clear way by the former mayor, and now we're here with them just as a report of directors. So thank you. That would,
Yeah, I'll send them to not just you, Councilperson Efros, but the entire council. And again, I'm not making excuses for anyone, any former administration, but you know, when there is a change of administration, some things do get left behind, I guess, and that's something, again, I wouldn't have known about these executive orders unless that Oprah request wasn't filed.
So Sean, is it fair to say that social media is not a proper platform to advise someone on something such as executive order? No, I'm dead serious. I'm just trying to. Is that fair?
If you want my humbled opinion, I will just say that our elected officials should just be careful using social media.
Okay.
Sean, I'm sorry. Can I have copies of 6.15 and 616, please?
6.15 and 616?
Yes, sir.
You got it. Does the entire council want that, or just Councilperson Zupa?
Send it to everybody. Whatever you send, just send to the entire council so everybody's on the same page.
Sounds good.
I was going to request the letters for Ward B related addresses, but just send an email.
Yeah.
But okay, for section 6.
So he can keep track. If there's something you have there
Sure.
that you want a copy of, just send Sean an email and Sean can circulate it to the entire council.
Correct.
Thank you. I want to make sure there's no funny business at the.
And then the other thing is, just remember, council members, we usually have a day in between the caucus and the council meeting because we had the meeting canceled on Monday. We'll have, well, when I go back downstairs, you'll have everything you asked for tonight. But if there's any kind of questions or answers that have to be done by administration, just, you know, be prepared that they may do it a little later in the afternoon tomorrow.
And just so the public is clear, the items that we're discussing are not items that we're voting on. They're just communication that the council is requesting. So I don't want anybody to think that anything that they might not be in agreement with, the council is looking to pass or do any action on at the next meeting.
Correct. Thank you, Council President.
So if it wasn't clear, I'd get like a copy of 8.1 and 8.2.
Yes, I'm going to send that to the entire council.
And then I don't need a copy of every letter for the acting directors. If I could just get one, I just want to see what the letter looks like. I assume they're all the same, essentially. And you can just make it.
Scan them all and send them to you.
I'll take Peter's letter. And then I do have a question to the administration about acting directors. So correct me if I'm wrong, the law, my recollection is that acting directors are appointed for 90 days by the mayor?
Yes. So they're appointed initially for 90 days. If the mayor wishes to, you know, reappoint someone else, they can for another 90 days, not the same person, but a different individual, or they can go to council and ask council to extend beyond those 90 days.
He can extend for 90 days without council approval?
If they want to extend for the same individual beyond 90 days, they have to have council approval.
Right.
If they want to pick a new person, then they can do a separate individual for another 90 days without council approval.
Right.
So it could be me, it could be Kevin, then it could be Scott, and you can just bounce around.
Or they can also stall and say that they're doing a search and then have someone just sit there until.
I can't imagine that would ever happen, Councilman.
And to that end, it's my understanding that in the last administration, at the start of the term, that there was some that it was determined that anyone whose holdovers or carryovers who were going to be on a permanent basis didn't have to go through council approval at the time. I'd like, unless the administration has a completely different opinion about it and just is not going to go that route, I'm going to say every appointment, regardless of whether a permanent appointment, has to come through the council, even if it's a holdover. And if the administration has a different opinion, then I'd love for Corporation Counsel to give me some legal direction on that and advice so that we make sure that all those appointments come before the city council.
If for context, and correct me if I'm wrong, Councilman, he's saying that when an election is over, so a 4-year term is over, and there's another term, there's a question of whether or not a director, if the same administration is elected, would have to, be appointed up again for council approval, or if they just carry on to the new term, the new 4-year term. We're obviously not there yet. I don't know the administration's full stance on it, but should that time come, I'm sure we'll have some information for you, Councilman.
What's the law on it, though? That's the bigger question.
I don't know offhand, Councilman.
Legal?
So can we, if we don't know offhand, can we make sure that we research that and let the council know?
We have the legal research. We'll put it into a more formal memo and give it to the council as well as the administration.
Thank you.
Great, thanks.
Okay, Sean.
Okay, we have our meeting claims and on to our resolutions. So items 10.1 and 2 were touched on earlier. Item 10.3, City Resolution 26-045 is a resolution authorizing members of the City Council of Jersey City to fully staff their offices in accordance with city and state law.
Yes, Sean, I'm going to retract this item because we have negotiation with administration on Thursday set. So I'd like to retract this item.
So what I'll ask you to do, Councilman, is I'll ask for a motion to withdraw, and we just need a second, and then we'll make a motion to withdraw the item.
At council tomorrow, correct?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, next, item 10.4, City Resolution 26-046 is a resolution approving the appointment of William Vicura as Director of the Department of Finance. He also has a companion resolution on 10.9, making him acting Chief Financial Officer. He is here to answer any questions that you may have on his resume or his experience. Any questions?
I have a question that's not specific to Bill, but is it typical to have the director of the Department of Finance also serve as the Chief Financial Officer? Or are those two distinct roles?
It's not typical to have a director of finance. It's not required. Every municipality is required to have a CFO in some capacity, whether you're a small town or a large town. Historically, Jersey City has separated the two, but historically, Jersey City has not always had a Department of Finance. So in this instance, I think the administration is tend to do a more robust active search for a CFO. But in the meantime, we do have to have someone on record that meets that qualification at the state level. So this is a way of having someone that the council is, vetted and approved to fulfill that capacity until a more robust search can be conducted.
So I guess my question, he won't be getting paid for both roles.
He will not.
Okay. I'm just trying to save money. I ain't trying to be hard on nobody. I just know we 250 the other way. That's it.
Bill, don't run yet.
Can I ask?
I think the last thing a new director wants to do is incur more money or more debt to the city.
Can I ask how much overlap between the functions of these roles are, and if it is like feasible for one human to do both?
So especially in a large municipality like ours, we do have consultants that we use to rely on some of the, regular or routine materials for this. The CFO's job in any municipality is to kind of be the final financial overseer to make sure that any actions that are done comport with state laws and regulations that the city has to comply with. So there is a lot of overlap and sense of knowledge. So, the finance director conceivably would know what the CFO is doing and how to execute that job. And if there's any ministerial roles or that need to be done, we'll have consultants or other employees assist with that. And then he would certify all documents once they're submitted to the state.
Okay, thank you.
I have some questions for Mr. Vicara, if you don't mind. Thank you. I know we chatted before, and I appreciate you taking the call to talk a little bit. But I did just want to ask further. You know, you have a background that goes from private equity to finance to NJ Transit, and now to acting director here. Can you just talk a little bit, for the record, on your approach to managing a city budget and how budgeting for public service and the public good and finance for the public good differs maybe from finance for capital and and for private capital specifically?
Sure, Councilman, thank you for the question. I'll take first, there's, I think, a lot of similarities between the role of a head of a finance department in the private sector and public sector. And those are things like establishing proper controls, compliance, properly budgeting, having quality financial reports that leadership can use to manage the budget throughout the course of the year, managing the balance sheet, debt service, capital structure, all important, whether it's public sector or private sector. The biggest difference, obviously, in the private sector, and more so today than probably any point in my lifetime, the singular focus is on maximizing value to shareholders. And that's not why we're here. In fact, quite to the contrary, right? Why we're here is to provide public services that in general do not and cannot generate profit. We're here to provide services to residents. My job is to manage the money and the hard work that hardworking residents pay and provide to us in the form of taxes, and do that in as diligently as possible. But we're not in this to make a profit. I would also just add to that, for me, being able to apply the financial skills that I learned earlier in my career at this point in my life in the public sector has been one of the most rewarding things I've been able to do. I love the experience of being on New Jersey Transit. I grew to value what public transit is to people more than ever, despite having been a commuter my entire life on New Jersey Transit. So I'm excited to bring that experience to another position where there's value, social value to what I'm doing.
Any other questions?
Two over here, Sean.
Yep.
This isn't specific to Bill. Bill, you've been great to work with. The question, though, as we get these resolutions to approve appointments, where's the salary guide located if it's not in the resolution?
The salary guide is in the ordinance for the city under personnel. It guides all statutory employees, which would include yourselves, your council aides, would include the mayor, the clerks, different appointments like that, and the directors. So they can look there for the ordinance, and then, all the compensation that comes with it.
Thank you.
Hey, Bill, how are you?
I'm well, thank you. How are you, Councilman?
Good. I noticed on your resume you are currently on the board for the Gateway project.
I submitted that resume prior to taking on the role here at Jersey City. My previous job was part-time as a senior advisor to the Gateway Development Commission. I'm no longer involved with Gateway.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Phil, thanks. We had an opportunity to talk. Appreciate the time that you gave me, and we talked thoroughly through a lot of different things. So I just want to put on the record, I guess, as we confront to this budget deficit and our budget challenges here in Jersey City, and tackle this. What's the administration and you as the director of finance approach there, and with regard to will you be forming any sort of task forces or anything like that, or do you foresee that to be able to really hone in on this and being able to take the bull by the horns.
Thank you for the question, Councilman. We have not discussed the formation of a task force. I certainly could bring that up with the mayor and discuss whether we should do that. As you know, we had spent a fair amount of time trying to understand the history and where we are today and identify, what's the current state of play for Jersey City's finances. Since we did that, we've turned kind of aggressively then to, okay, what are we going to do about it? In that process, I mean, we have been in contact with all the constituents that we will need to assist us in getting out of the crisis. So the administration has been very diligent, very aggressive in reaching out to our Hudson County delegation, to representatives of the governor's office, to the DCA, and we have continued to work with CUNY to formulate a plan and options for getting ourselves out of the crisis. So that's ongoing work. I'm certainly happy to have a discussion about whether we need or should have a task force or another way of more regularly communicating with the council on the status of the and our progress on the budget.
Yeah, I guess I'll say I'm going to encourage to communicate that to the administration and to say establish a task force of some sort with council representation and input. Certainly you can the administration can bring solutions to the council and put it on the agenda, and then we'll vote on it. But it would, I think, be more powerful and get more buy-in from the council if council people were sitting at the table. That's not a push for me. In fact, we want to make sure that this is a meeting I don't want to sunshine, not because I don't want to have sunshine, but we need to act urgently with in this process. So having council people at the table before things come to the council agenda, like a switch in healthcare providers and things like that, so that way we're well aware of the kind of things that are coming down the pike. And if the council president or other members of the council are able to keep us apprised of what's going on there, then we'll be able to have a more informed and be good partners in working together through this crisis. That's my soapbox on that.
Understood, and I hope we haven't spent a lot of time together or known each other for a long time, but I hope that you have gotten the impression that I certainly intend to be transparent and clear in how I communicate with you and my colleagues in the administration.
Yeah, thank you, Bill. We did talk about it because we have experience in different fields. We can obviously, it can be monthly or bi-monthly suggestions to get some revenue resources, local resources, if we can come up with something. So I would really appreciate if you can meet regularly to talk about those so we can take them forward.
Of course, and even in the absence of regular meetings, I certainly encourage you to send me or schedule time to talk to me about ideas. We've been having conversations. A lot of people have come forward with the similar kinds of comments. I have ideas for generating revenue. No idea is too small, and certainly no idea is too big. I'm happy to entertain those ideas, and I think the faster we can act on some of those, the better off we are, even in the advance of adopting a budget. To the extent we can take some action, we will be better off this time next year.
And council, the BA is scheduling some time for us to sit with different city directors, and we will sit with Bill to actually go through municipal budgeting just to make sure everybody has a good idea and knows exactly what they're looking at. But in the meantime, if there are any suggestions that you have, please feel free to send those his way via email now. Thanks.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, next 10.5 City Resolution 26-047 is a resolution approving the appointment of Sarah M. Levine as Corporation Counsel and Director of the Department of Law. Do we have any questions for Sarah?
Yes.
And Sarah, you can answer them right there if you want. You can. You don't have to go up to the podium. You have a mic. Totally up to you.
Yeah, I think she should.
Podium's fine.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, we've also gotten to talk offline, but I just love to get for the record a sense of what you feel like the challenges are in the law department, and as head of the law department, how you're planning on approaching them.
The challenge in answering this question is trying to use my time well and time well this evening. So let me start by giving just a minute of public education about what the law department does, and that can inform my comments on what its challenges are and the direction that I hope to go in. So there are 5 core teams within the law department representing our 5 core functions. The first team is our governance team, and that is the team that you all on council are most familiar with, because that is the team that fulfills our mandate to provide legal advice to the mayor, to council persons, and to city departments. That's also the team that drafts ordinances, resolutions, executive orders, and the like. Our next team is our transactional team, which advises the city on all contracts. So big contracts like deals and leases, small matters too. That team also handles all of our public records work. Our third team is our tax appeal team. You heard about some tax appeal matters earlier this evening. So both instances where property owners are contesting the valuation and the property taxes they have paid, and also what are called reverse tax appeals, which is where the city contests how much property tax a property owner has paid. We currently have nearly 2,500 pending tax appeals that the law department is handling. Our fourth team is our labor and employment team. The city is a large employer. As a result, we have all manner of employment and labor issues ranging from disciplinary issues to EEO issues. That team also oversees much of our union negotiation work. And finally, we have a litigation team. And the litigation team in the law department represents the city and its employees in their official capacity and departments in all litigation in state and federal court. So that is as compared to the municipal prosecutor, which represents the city in municipal court, handling things like disorderly persons offenses or misdemeanors and code enforcement. Currently, we have well over 100 pending litigations in the city, the vast majority of which are defensive, a small portion of which are affirmative, meaning it is the city acting as the plaintiff, seeking to act out its right. We have a lot of challenges. The first one is that across those 5 functions, just one of which folks on council interact with on a regular basis, setting aside management, so myself and a first assistant, we currently have 10 full-time attorneys. 10 full-time attorneys is the number that some law firms would deem the appropriate amount for staffing just 100 litigations, setting aside the other 4 key functions that the law department serves. So a challenge that we have is that we are incredibly lean. We also, in part because staffing has been a real challenge in the law department, there have been a number of vacancies that my predecessor was not able to backfill for various reasons. We have suffered from a dearth of systems and process. And because of that, there have been ways that the law department has, at times, through no fault of my predecessors, dropped the ball. And there are many ways that we can do better. So, for example, I mentioned that there are currently over 100 pending litigations against the city. It has taken a while to figure out exactly what that number is, which is frightening to me as a litigator. And that is because we don't have basic case management software. We don't have basic software for doing things like keeping track of deadlines in our litigations. And so the truth is sometimes the law department has blown them. We have a case that is going to trial in the next 2 months because we missed the opportunity to file for summary judgment, which is the last chance before trial to dispose of a case. So there are serious challenges in staffing and systems, but that also translates to serious opportunities to do better, to save costs, to potentially be revenue generating through things like reverse tax appeals and affirmative litigation with just a modicum of attention, management, TLC that the law department has not had historically.
Sarah, I think you touched on it. Several years ago, the office was fully staffed, and there are currently tremendous litigators and attorneys in your office. But would it be your goal to bring more lawyers in-house, similar as we would do with other contractors, because it would cut down on costs? For example, there will be times when the city wants to contract out either through conflict or for specific expertise. Prior to me sitting on the council or prior to me running for this council seat, I tried a case for Jersey City successfully, so I know what it's like to be outside counsel, but I would like to see more lawyers in the law department.
I think you baked the answer into the question, council member. The answer is yes, it would absolutely be my preference to bring more attorneys in-house. not only because I would love to have a law department that reflects Jersey City and that takes advantage of the enormous talent that we have here, but because I think it is more cost effective. Every time we send out cases to outside counsel, not only are we paying them, but we also need to allocate the manpower to supervise them, because it is absolutely possible that if we award contracts and we're not overseeing the bills that we're receiving, that they will balloon over time. So while it is certainly my preference to staff up the law department and handle as much of our tax work, as much of our litigation work, as much of our labor work as we possibly can in-house, I do want to be transparent with you all that bills are coming. And that is because we have not had the staff to maintain the volume of work that we have and to do it well. And there is no way, even if I had the full support of the council and the administration, which may or may not come, but certainly won't come in the next 3 days, that we would be able to staff up the law department to adequate levels immediately. And so there will simply need to be an uncomfortable time period where we rebalance. And we are farming out more work to outside counsel just so that it's getting done and we're not blowing deadlines. But my hope is that I can present a plan to the council and to the administration for how over the next 6 months, year, 2 year, 4 years, we can staff up the law department with clear indicators about when we get one more litigator, we can take back 20 cases from outside counsel so that you understand exactly what the cost trade-offs are between staffing up internally or, farming out work to external folks.
And something that would benefit certainly Councilman Navarro is, I know the city requires law firms to bill monthly. If we can get those bills on a monthly basis as well, so that we're not paying exorbitant costs 3 or 4 months or 6 months down the line. And shame on me if I ever ask a question I don't already know the answer to. And if you catch me, please tell me.
I understand that this council will be scrutinizing all bills moving forward, including for my department. So it is in my best interest to work with you all to stay on top of the department's finances at the most granular level possible, because I would like you all to vote yes to pay the bills of the firms that do important work for us.
We also have to justify our salary. So if we let it pass.
Rolando.
Sarah, thank you. We had the opportunity to talk, just for the record, for the public, and enjoyed our discussion, our conversation, and thank you for your time. I have one question only, and just for the record, and you addressed it with me already directly, and I appreciate that. I learned that kind of under the Faulkner Act and so forth, that my idea of necessarily being a check and balance as a city council isn't necessarily what the Faulkner Act envisions. It kind of envisions us to be cooperative with the mayor in some way, working together toward a common goal, which is ideal, and but doesn't necessarily end up that way in practice, right? So my question is, there's going to come times and when council or just members of the council will have differing opinions, and as our legal counsel in that, we were differing opinions with the administration or amongst each other, and how you will approach that, and in terms of providing legal counsel for the city council in those moments.
I appreciate that very thoughtful and very hard question, and you have cut right to the heart of what is very difficult about the role that I'm stepping into, setting aside the staffing and the systems challenges that I mentioned earlier. As you note, the Faulkner Act has what I will not call a legal fiction, but a tension that the council and the administration will always be working together towards the policy and the legislative goals of the city. The Faulkner Act does not create a structure like our federal government that contemplates 3 fully independent branches, each of which have their own resources and their own counsel. And so I am in the, I would submit to you, unenviable position of having to provide legal advice to many people who will often be politically at odds with each other. And that is if democracy is working. That is in the best case scenario. I would never be in the position, and no attorney would ever be in the position of being at a firm where it has 10 clients at the same time, and those clients are actively adverse to each other. And yet, there will be circumstances in which I may functionally be in that position. And so the assurances that I can offer you all are that in this job, I will be guided by two sources in all of my decisions. And the first source is my statutory authorization for this role, my role and responsibilities. And the second source is the rules of professional ethics for attorneys, which are just a floor, not a ceiling on ethical conduct, but are useful nonetheless. And when I look at the statutory authorization for the role of corporation counsel, I see a mandate to provide legal advice to the mayor and council persons and city departments. I see no basis whatsoever in my role to prioritize any of those individuals or any of those entities or to subordinate any others. And while it is true that I have been selected for your consideration for appointment by the mayor, and the mayor may remove me, it is also true that you all may remove me. And it is also true that if the mayor wants to remove me, you can stop him from doing that with a 2/3 vote. And so I see all of that context as underscoring the importance of me taking seriously my ethics as an attorney to render good judgment, good advice, equal attention, equal consideration to all of those entities within the ambit of my role, as difficult as that might be. So practically, what that means is if there is anyone on council who wants to work on something that one of your colleagues doesn't want you to work on, or the administration doesn't want you to work on, that doesn't matter to me. It is not my job to put my finger on the scale. And many of you knew me in a past life as an activist, so you understand that I have deep ideological commitments and deep policy values, but the only thing perhaps that is more important to me than my personal ideological commitments is the democratic process. And I know that happens through all of you because you represent the will of the people. And I was not elected. I am under no illusions about that. So this is all to say the best that I can do is commit to each of you my statutory mandate, my ethical mandate to give you all sound legal advice, to stay out of the political process and let you all duke that out in this forum.
And I'll interject here and just similar to what I said when Bill was up here, I have asked Sarah to sit with all of us and to go over rules and regulations related to the Faulkner Act, sunshine laws, so that the council is aware what our duties and our abilities are. A lot of times we will get pressure from the outside asking us to do certain things, to hire our own attorneys, to do certain financial audits, and there are rules that we must follow within the law. So she will sit down with all of us to explain all of those so that we know what's within our powers and what is not under the law. Okay.
Thank
you all.
Okay. Items 10.6 and 7 were touched on earlier. Item 10.8, City Resolution 26-050 is a resolution honoring the Lincoln Association of Jersey City on the occasion of its 160th annual commemoration of President Lincoln's life and legacy. Items 10.9 through 10.18 were touched on earlier. Item 10.19, City Resolution 26-061 is a resolution authorizing a payment of a claim to the law office of Tracy S. Cosby for legal services. And I have the BA that wants to address the council.
So we're going to be withdrawing this one tomorrow. This is actually a claim that was somehow duplicated and paid and authorized by the council at the last meeting. So we just have to remove it because it's a duplication of what we already voted on.
Very good. Next is item 10.20, City Resolution 26-062 is a resolution authorizing a closed session of the Municipal Council on Wednesday, February 25th, 2026 at 5 p.m. to discuss issues related to pending litigation. Item 10.21 was touched on earlier. Item 10.22, City Resolution 26-064 is a resolution authorizing a lien against the properties listed in the resolution for the cost of removing litter, debris, etc. in accordance with NJSA 40:48-2.14 and Jersey City Code Section 287-4. Any questions on that resolution? Hearing none. Item 10.23, City Resolution 26-065 is a resolution of the Municipal Council of the City of Jersey City expressing opposition to the federal immigration enforcement policies under the current presidential administration and calling for the abolishment of immigration and customs enforcement, also known as ICE. This will be a late item. And with the late items, council, just a reminder, this is something that will take a motion to vote on before we move to introduce the first reading ordinances. I'll ask for a motion to add this item, and if we are adding the other item that has the grant with recreation, there will be 2 items added to the agenda, and I do need 6 votes in order to add the items. So I'll ask for a motion and ask for a second, and then we can add the items. And-
Sean,
Sure.
it's actually going to be 3. I've handed out ordinance to all of my colleagues as it relates to establishing a rent protection special investigation committee that will supersede 25-564. I do want to thank Councilperson Rolando, Councilperson Ridley, and members of the community who've all, participated and gave their input. In this ordinance have more strict parameters, has a date and time where the ordinance should commence, has a period, have clear directives, and just have a lot of thresholds that's will be identified versus the other one.
Is this ordinance also uploaded into
Resolution.
iCompass?
Yes.
It's ordinance or
Resolution.
resolution? The
I
resolution.
mean, the resolution, excuse me.
You said ordinance, I'm sorry, I was,
Pardon my soul, Sean.
no problem.
I'm not used to 3-hour caucuses yet.
And there was some back and forth with this, right? But everybody's input,
Yes,
whatever they wanted
was
to add.
included, yes.
So we'll be adding 3 items, is that correct?
Yes, hold on, Jake have,
Go ahead, Jake.
Yeah.
I mean, Councilman.
I don't mean to add to the 3 hours plus, Frank, but I just had a question about you suggest the final report, or the resolution suggests the final report be issued, this is under section 8, within 180 days, or that the committee shall exist for a fixed term of 12 months. So I just want to get a sense of, what we think is a realistic timeline for that final report. Do we think that realistic timeline is at 6 months, the 180 days? And is the 12 months just to make sure we have cushion in case that should need to be extended? Or can we just get some?
Yeah, so the 12 months essentially, because we wanted to give a deadline. Now, if it should exceed 12 months, we have every right to extend it. But we did want to put a cap on it. We just didn't want it to be open like that. That is something actually Council Person Rolando had recommend that we have a start and stop date. And also, I guess the other portion for the committee, it shall have at least 5 council people. So I guess tomorrow, everyone who's going to participate on the committee will essentially put their names in, and then we'll convene the first meeting, elect the president. President of the board, the vice president of the board as well. And the good thing about this, it will be sunshined. So it'll be open to the public under the Open Public Act. I just think that given all that transpired these last couple of years, there's a lack of trust as it relates to the public, and rightfully so. So we're looking to try to do everything at our disposal to try to ensure that these establishments are following the rules that we set as a municipality.
Thank you, Councilman. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure, that final report within the 180 days, should there be even more to work through beyond that 180 days, that wouldn't necessarily be the end all be all, but we still have further time to continue investigation and the other powers under this committee.
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
I just have a question on section 11, because it says that we will have a public hearing and then implement the committee's recommendation. Is that hearing going to be with the entire council, or is that something that the
No.
committee is going to do and they're going to come back to us with their rules?
Yes.
Okay, I just want to make sure that language is clear, that the committee is going to have that meeting and then come back to the council with their recommendation.
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
Does the resolution spell out who the secretary of the committee is?
No, it doesn't spell out who's the.
So it's an automatic
Hold on.
clerk position, right?
I think, yeah, it does.
I nominate Sean Gallagher.
I think,
Motion.
I think it actually
We don't
does.
take action in the caucus, and I have 2 deputy clerks that I can delegate it to. So, okay.
Okay. Appreciate
It's only joking. I'm only joking.
Oh, is that official? The clerk will serve as secretary?
Sorry, I nominated myself, but yeah, I'll definitely,
Or your designee?
or my designee, we'll make sure that the meetings are sunshine in accordance with the law.
What I mean by the clerk is, so it's sunshine, are the meetings recorded? And, or minutes or record taken of the proceedings?
So from what I understood, and I haven't seen the resolution in its entirety, are these meetings going to be in person or are they going to be virtual?
In person.
In person.
Yes.
So if they're going to be in person and it's we can live stream the meetings. So once you live stream the meetings, they're on YouTube. It's actually transcribed on YouTube. But if you want my court stenographer to come to those meetings, I would have to discuss that with our court stenographer and our contract. If you want transcripts.
Now, Sean, question, would these meetings be archived and placed on the website?
They will be placed on the website, yes, and archived. Just as the council meetings are and the caucuses. If you look back on our website, you can actually take a look at when we were during the pandemic, and like Councilperson Labarro indicated at the last meeting, the rent control ad hoc committee, we had meetings, they were all virtual, but they're all recorded and you can always take a look at them. And then we had another ad hoc committee, I believe, on the water.
Inclusionary zoning.
And inclusionary zoning. There was 3 actually that we had. Right. They're all archived. I'm sorry, Councilman.
Councilman Gimlin, just a few questions to clarify for myself. So just kind of going, if you can walk me through, what's the official start date of the committee? Is it upon commencement and adoption, or is it on convening of the first meeting? So the 12 months, where does the start and end begin there?
Well, I mean, my excuse me, I said Lord Jesus, it's been a long day. My intentions is to have us start this immediately. And the 12 months should be from the date of the first meeting.
The first meeting?
Yes.
Okay. Does that need to be clarified at all, or is it, I defer to other folks, not me, on this, just so we know what the timeline is and have clarity on that.
My recommendation would be it's the council's committee, so what they say, would define it.
But does it have to be written into resolution, or we can just, we're fine? Good. The second thing then is piggybacking on Councilman Efros. So the first meeting within 30 days of adoption, and then an interim report within 90 days, and a final report within 180 days. Do you envision during this period that it's largely investigative? Or if in the course of those meetings, if we come across if we discover malfeasance, criminal action, or something that requires us to be able to take some other action or to demand that from the administration, does that happen during that period or does it happen after report is produced, the final report?
That's a great question. And that's why we reserve the right to always extend the committee because, you know, we're looking for certain things. And while you're looking for that, you may uncover something else, which will, you know, force us to go down another avenue, which we will need more time to do.
What I mean is we're in a committee meeting and it's just as an example, and we uncover a memo that says, Steve, that somebody was ordered or instructed to ignore the rent control ruling or something to that effect, right? And we find that out and we want to be able to like hold the person accountable who may have, if something was not done or there's clear evidence that something was done improperly. Maybe it's urging the administration for the removal of someone or taking some other action against that person. Will we be able to do that, I would say right there in that moment, but in that meeting? Or are we waiting 180 days when the final report is issued to issue that finding and then say, these are our recommendations to do this?
Yeah, I think we should. Yeah, we should wait for the final report. Let everything play out. And then we'll, you know, look to make recommendations and or take actions at that juncture.
I just have a quick question. Like, what is corporate counsel's role in all of this?
Can I just add to that too? Because I think what the councilman's getting at is if we're going to have subpoena power, law department will have to assign someone of their short staff to this committee to send out those subpoenas. And there's a lot of work here that our staff, as currently constituted, may not be able to accomplish from the council.
I have counsel.
I'll just add to that another wrinkle, which is that it is entirely conceivable that situations will arise as this committee progresses, depending on what it chooses to do, where there will be conflicts. So in the event that you want to subpoena or question certain city employees, we would have an obligation to represent those individuals. We can commit to working with you in good faith to resolve those challenges as they arise. But there will likely be uncharted territory ahead for us to navigate together.
If I can just pose one other example, which is just, we discover that some landlord doesn't have 24/7 security and that they're in violation of that law. I mean, we could wait the 6 months, but would we want to act more urgently to say and I don't know what our authority or power would be as a council, and maybe corporation counsel or Tom could could advise us on this, but what could we take some action that would then compel the city staff to be able to say, you need to start issuing some fines for violations of the 24/7, for violation of the 24/7?
Yeah, I mean, I think in that instance, if let's say we commence the meeting, and within 60 days, we see that there are potential violations, while there's going to be a final report for recommendations, I mean, I'm of the opinion that you penalize the violations as they occur. You know, so that's.
And then my last question, what's the frequency of meetings? I'm just trying to figure out my own, sorry, the frequency do you envision for the meetings?
I think at the bare minimum, we should try to meet at least every 30 days. Just because it's something that's been pending so long, it's something that's essentially of dire need. And it's something that we've all essentially campaigned on, right? This is one of the pledges that we took that we will do something about this type of situation in these instances. And the unique thing about it is that if we get, let's say, seven or 8 people, right? All we have to do is have a quorum. Everybody don't have to come all the time. So that's a good thing by having multiple council members sitting on a committee.
I'd make a suggestion to the members of the committee. Maybe that first initial meeting can be somewhat of a planning meeting. With
Yes,
just you all to decide exactly which direction and, what's the best meeting date, et cetera, before we pull in the public, just to take care of logistics and house.
The last question you clerk has for this is, what time do we intend to conduct these meetings?
I mean, ideally, I was thinking before, like, you see, we have a closed session at 5 o'clock right before the council meeting. One, I want to be respectful of all of the council members' time. So I would try to stick to, days that we're here, either on caucus or at the council meeting. And then also seeing that your office is going to be a part of it. We want to be mindful of the capacity, in which you guys are helping at. So I'm envisioning before council meetings, but we're open to changing it to whatever day, whatever time, whatever fit the majority of the people. Peter's standing up.
Yeah, Councilman, might want to make one suggestion. Apologize for standing up. If it's going to involve city employees, I would try to keep it during normal business hours, just because you don't want to necessarily incur overtime costs or things of that nature as well.
Okay.
I would just, I have a comment. During business hours is going to be very difficult for me. So if that's what it has to be, I don't know if I'm going to be able to serve on the committee. I also wanted to clarify, because this is sunshineable. If we were to just allocate an hour before council meeting, because it is sunshineable, does that mean it necessarily has a public comment period?
Is it what period?
Repeat that again?
Public comment.
Does it have a public comment period? Because if it does, an hour is not going to be enough.
And I'd just like to interject, if it is before the council meeting, that meeting in at least a half hour before the council meeting, as not to delay our regularly scheduled council caucus meeting.
I would be, I don't think I can do Monday at 1 o'clock, but I don't, like, if you would be willing, if someone else would be willing to serve in my place, that's okay, but also.
So then I think we should take this conversation offline
Yeah,
and
we'll
have a
figure-
discussion and figure out what's a good day for everyone.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think we can take it offline because it's sunshineable, right? There's 5 of us.
Oh, no, far as the time and the date.
Okay.
We can.
Yeah, I might add that not every meeting has to be the same exact time. So if your participation would be better, if majority of meetings would not involve city employees, you could do it at a later time that could accommodate everyone. If there's a period where you have to involve, city employees, then maybe decide whether or not, that works for everyone's calendar at that point in time.
I could do 4:30 to 5:30 on Wednesdays before council, if that works for you.
Like Council President said, I think we should take the conversation offline. We can all talk about, a date and time where we can make it convenient for all the council members. I understand Councilperson Gilmore's intent that the council will all be here, but as you well know, as well as I do, there is work that has to be done by my office prior to council meetings and sometimes even during caucuses. So it may not be me always conducting those meetings. It will probably be one of my other deputies if we are intending to have it on either on the Monday or Wednesday. But we'll talk about it more when we get closer to it. With that being said, may I have a motion to adjourn at 7:32 p.m.?
1 second, Sean.
Oh,
I want to
sorry.
say a few things. One, I have a request. I know that a lot of times in the meetings, we sometimes take care of the business as we get to it. can we, if we have anything that we're withdrawing off of the agenda or any changes to the agenda, can we take care of that at the top of the meeting so that everyone is aware of the current agenda? There might be people here to speak on certain things that no longer need to speak. So can we knock all of that out at the beginning instead of as we get to those items?
For the pledge, preferably.
Not before the pledge.
So are you referring to like, if there's a resolution that needs to be addressed and we don't want somebody?
Well, we've already said that there are resolutions we want to withdraw.
Yep.
I don't know if there's any ordinances that are withdrawing. We're carrying one ordinance. Can we
Right.
take care of all of that business up front?
Sure.
Just to
Sure,
make
sure
it
can.
clear for the public, because I don't want, people waiting and sitting here and
So what,
everybody to be clear on what the agenda is.
what I would suggest is that we'll do a motion. We can do a compound motion for the resolutions, but as far as the ordinance is concerned, we're going to carry, what is it, one of the second reading ordinances that?
And that's fine. Just the resolutions more.
The resolutions we can take care of right away, but the second reading, unless we defer to it, we can do that right after the resolutions, or we can do that second reading first and just say that we're making a motion to carrying whatever ordinance that is. I'm sorry, it's been a long evening. I believe it's the, it's resolution, excuse me, ordinance 26-004, item 4.3. Is that the 95 Morgan Street?
The introductions and seconds we can do as they come, but
Okay.
we can take care of the resolutions before the public.
Absolutely.
Just so everybody's on the same page.
Sure.
If I understand correctly, it's item 10.3. Can we move that up to the front end and remove it from the agenda? Because there's going to be people here to speak on it.
Again, that was the council president's intent. So I believe what we're going to do is all of the resolutions that are being withdrawn, we'll bring that right in the beginning of right after we add the resolutions that we need to add to the agenda. The next will be making a motion to withdraw the resolutions that are being withdrawn.
Motion.
If we can just make that the standard practice, that would be great.
That's fantastic,
And,
Council President.
And I just want to remind the council, caucus is for the council. Council meeting is for the public. So let us give the public their time to speak. Last meeting, there were a lot of questions repeated at the council meeting that were already answered in caucus. So I just want to remind everybody, caucus meeting is a public meeting. The public can see what you ask here, so we don't necessarily need to ask it twice. And let's make sure that we're working on getting items in on time for the agenda. And that's all I have. And Councilman Gilmore already gave the motion 2 times.
So now we just changed the time. Councilperson Gilmore made a motion to adjourn at 7:35 PM. May I have a second? Who made the second? Councilperson Efros? Was it?
Yes.
Thank you. On the motion to adjourn at 7:35 PM, all council members present by acclamation, please say aye.
Aye.
We are out of here at 7:35 PM. Thank you so much, everyone present and everyone watching at home. Remember, teamwork makes the dream work. Have a great rest of the night. Stay safe and warm.